Hey, and welcome back to the Wicked Wild Podcast, a feral podcast for the uncivilized horror fans. And you have reached us a very special night because we are not reviewing a movie. The thing we're reviewing tonight is us. This is our 2023 in review episode. So we're excited to get in here and kind of talk with each other and discuss kind of what happened and what our high points and low points were, who's getting fired off the podcast. But I don't want to give any spoilers yet. We want to get the full reaction of the people as we let them know the good news, bad news, whatever they want to take it as. But before we do that, I want to introduce everybody on the podcast, which is the full team of the Wicked Wild Podcast Network. I'm going to start with Jeff up in Pittsburgh. How's it going, Jeff?
Fantastic, Dave. How about yourself?
Good. Did you have a good day?
It was actually really good. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Good. So before I ask our special little Christmas elf, to sing us into the new holiday season, which just starts in a couple of days, I wanted to ask you what do you want Santa to bring you, Jeff?
What do I want Santa to bring me?
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, when I was in Alaska, I got these boxer shorts. They're called lazy ones. Ooh. And they're probably the most comfortable boxer shorts I've ever had in my life. So another pair of them would probably be all right.
Are they made out of like moose hair or something?
You have Santa bringing you whatever you want, and you chose
underwear.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, obviously, Jamie, you don't understand the boxer short plight. But they have they have a Sasquatch on them.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, is he located in a convenient place?
It actually says Sasquatch across it. So
nice.
It's very convenient. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Take my money.
I'm a simple man,
And then we've got also in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, a true northerner through and through, dyed in the wool northern man.
You're just the absolute worst.
How's it going, Eli?
Me, living the dream one day at a time.
So obviously tonight's all about ranking and talking, and, kind of judging overall, which I know you've given yourself lots of practice to do.
I have.
You're well versed at judging and finding things wanting, as we learned.
Pro, some may say. Yeah.
So my question to you is, who is your favorite cryptid, like of all time? Like if you were getting a permanent tattoo across your chest,
a
full chest piece of a cryptid, who's going in there?
Honestly, it'd have to be Mothman, just because he's the biggest dick. Because if you look, he really didn't do anything nefarious. He was just a huge dickhead, and he was out there slapping on cars and chasing old ladies down dirt roads and stuff, and then and just standing staring creepily with his glowing red eyes. He wasn't really the bad one. If you look at some the UFOs and Men in Black, they were the plight. Mothman was just a dick.
Isn't Mothman the donkey lady of West Virginia?
How dare you? How dare you?
Eli's probably
the harbinger of doom. How dare you? Listen,
hey, Jeff, you know what would be cool is if there was some sort of breakfast food that was inspired.
Well, I've heard tales. I think that's a more rare cryptid than the actual Mothman.
Wow, and aligns with another true dickhead, right?
Yeah, wow. I mean,
just the worst. Just the worst, all you. Just the worst.
You didn't even make me any. You just literally.
Well, why would I?
You talked about them for 4 months up until you're
and then
Mothman pancakes. They're the best.
Then what did you do?
We're gonna get some Mothman, and we didn't even get any.
You started shitting on Donkey Lady, and what does that get you? No pancakes.
I guess. Are there Donkey Lady pancakes?
Oh, I wish there was. If someone out there listening either makes shirts or lives near Donkey Lady, they make shirts. I would love to have me a Donkey Lady t-shirt. That's all I'm saying.
And he knows he's not getting one from Dave.
Yeah, because he's a jerk.
And then up in the greater New York area, the New Englander of our family, we got Jamie. How's it going, Jamie?
It's going all right.
So, serious question for you.
Yeah.
This is a big night. We're going to be handing out some awards and stuff. So, if you could be the lead character, in any one of your favorite horror movies, who would it be and what would the movie be?
Okay. I have 2.
Okay.
And neither will come as a shock to anybody, especially not the first one. Mia from Evil Dead 2013.
Okay. That was a guess. I was worried that you wouldn't have anything to do with being covered in blood and vomiting on people.
Oh, I would love to be covered in blood. The vomiting, not so much, but like, one of my bucket list like items is to just be an extra in a horror movie that's just fucking drenched.
Oh, I thought you meant like real blood.
No, but going that route, my other one is Grace from Ready or Not. And that's just simply also because Tamara Weaving's fucking beautiful and hot. So like, if you're asking me to just be like, if I could just look like her in like a day, all of a sudden, and also covered in blood. So let's be honest, like, but Mia's just badass, and everything about that movie is, so
she is.
That role is just perfection. Like,
she is never ever a victim of anything in that movie.
No, she's insane. Like, she is so good. I know we've had this conversation, but even as a lead, as a character in the Evil Dead franchise, as any of that, like, she's fucking perfect.
You're not going to pick any of the movies Jeff and I wrote that you're going to be starring in like 14 roles.
I already am the lead of those.
Yeah, but one of them would never been nice if you plugged it. The project we're working on, still trying to raise the candy to pay for it.
I'm a little hard to at this point.
What
are you up to at this point? You said you haven't raised all the funds yet.
Yeah.
$2 probably.
Excuse me, I mowed some lawns this summer, so we're up to $7.50. Okay.
Okay.
$7.50. You know what you can buy with that? Like a Pepsi and a half Kit Kat. So we're on our way.
Well on our way. Yeah. And then we've got Johnny Boy, my big J up in Detroit, Michigan. Our true crow of the podcast. How's it going, John?
Wow. I see some looks on Eli's face. I don't think you like that one.
I knew that.
I'm sure you're referring to the comic crow.
Exactly. Not the movie, because we know how you feel about that one. Donning your Halloween t-shirt the week of Christmas. It's a bold move, but it's on brand for sure.
Hey, every day's Halloween for me.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter. That's what I had to explain at work today. Like, people are like, why are you wearing that? I'm like, it's always Halloween for me. It doesn't matter.
Are you asking
I say that too. Why are you asking stupid fucking questions? It doesn't matter.
So, John, and this is something that I do a lot of daydreaming about, and I get the sense just from some of our conversations offline that you may be similar. But if you could take a gap year, let's dream big.
Gap year. Love this idea.
You're independently wealthy. You hit the lottery, whatever it is, but you're going to take a year off and just walk away. Where are you going? You're going to have to go somewhere abroad for a year. Where are you going?
Abroad? Just one place?
Yep.
Oh man, just one place
for a year. Really?
For a year. I mean, I've been dying to get to Japan. It feels almost awful to say not Japan. So, I mean, it would be hard just to do what you're doing for a whole year. I'd probably learn the language a little bit, but that would probably be it. I'd probably try to spend more time in the country if I had that time, though. Yeah, instead of the city. But
be out in the mountains somewhere.
Yeah, maybe you can go find some of Eli's favorite cryptids from Japan.
Oh, that was Jeff who chose the one from Japan. Old anus eye.
Isn't Ramamume a Japanese folklore?
No, Ramamume is German.
Yeah, she's German.
I don't know. I wasn't.
Yeah, come on, man. Don't you listen when we talk about
Ramamume?
Who had the iron nipples?
Ramamume.
Okay, that's what I thought.
God.
I just
Jesus
it's hard to
fucking
my
Christ.
God.
Oh man,
shamed on our own podcast, John.
I mean, it's like we're expected to remember every last detail.
Well, we are tonight.
It's an education.
Trust me, I can remember it.
So before we get into our superlatives list, and I have a long list, and the crew here has seen it. I put together a list of a lot of questions. I'm not necessarily planning on getting to all of them. I just thought it was good conversation starter points. But if any of you all obviously have things that come up that you want to talk about, this is your podcast too. So it's not like we have to get through this whole task list to feel like we've accomplished anything. But before we get into that, because it's the end of the year and it is our review episode, I'd like to ask our paranormal investigator to give us our final Wicked Whispers of the season and tell us kind of what are the big things that we need to be watching as we move into the new year.
Listen, people, it's all shit. It's all shit. Death, despair, still. And I know I've been saying it all year, but like it's legit at a point right now where it's like, what the fuck is happening? You know how I've been speaking for months now about this poor folks in Peru? Picture came out. There's a picture of what looks like a humanoid figure on the air and like almost like a Back to the Future hoverboard. That picture was released. Someone was able to get it out of Peru. Last I checked, they sent it to some experts to see if it's a real picture or not. And if it finds out it's not a fake picture, like what? Why are we helping those people? They've been fighting these aliens for a year. I don't even like fighting a box of cereal for 5 minutes, let alone aliens on jetpacks. But hey, what do I know?
How hurt would you be if you found out we had been invaded by aliens a year ago and you're just now finding out about it?
I would be very angry. I would be very angry because first off, I could have helped. I have the knowledge.
Why didn't they come to you first, right?
Why didn't they come to me first? Figure out what's going on. Secondly, if they've invaded, you're not telling me we haven't done something, so I'm not paying $4 a fucking gallon for gas. Like we haven't got some technology that I'm not spending that money on gas. Like, you know what? Whatever. It don't matter. It doesn't matter though, because actually, if you look at the news, we're any minute away from just technology on Earth ending, because we have one of those once in a lifetime events where in the sun there's a black spot the size of 9 Earths. That is the strongest point for it to pulse out solar flares. And that we could get hit directly head on. Good chance it's going to be like a giant EMP blast. At the very least, if we get hit with the full brunt, they said it could knock the internet out for like a month. Or if we get hit with the full bada boom 1, 2, 3 punch, electronics just shit the bed. So at any moment now, we could go back to Little House on the Prairie days, which I don't think any of us would do very well in. Because how am I supposed to find cryptids if I can't figure out where they're at online?
That'd be fine.
You say that. But how are you going to watch Walker, Texas Ranger, Dave?
Never have.
Wow. You disgust me more and more every day.
The new one with Sam Winchester?
No, that's not the real Walker, Texas Ranger.
I was just asking. I've never watched any of them, and I prefer to watch Sam Winchester.
I was going to say, if Jamie picked one, that would be the one she picked.
Wow, I can't even look at you people. And then the last one, I got a weird one. This is coming from a few conspiracy sites and things that I follow. But conspiracy theorists in the U.S. are sounding the alarm. They've noticed that a lot of fake dispensaries are popping up on Google Maps, and they're convinced that those dispensaries that they're finding that aren't real dispensaries could be actual part of some kind of psyop or something. They think it may have something to do with the aliens potentially. To your point, it could be at war. Or some people think it's a way to trick people to go there so the government can get them. Actually, here in Pittsburgh, there's one Jeff in the lower area called Oakland.
Mm-hmm.
That when you actually where it shows the map, but when you look, it's like a construction yard. So don't know what that's about. But I don't think it's going to matter if you get either ran over by a Peruvian alien on a jetpack or hit in the face with a solar flare. So we're all fucked.
I mean, I've walked by that dispensary and I wouldn't want to go in there anyway. So,
well, no, it's where the when you're going up the ramp to Oakland, where that construction yard is, where you can pick up. That's where the pinpoint in Pittsburgh is. Right off there, all by the river.
You know what's cool, John? Is how Eli talks about the conspiracy that this place doesn't really exist and it's a way to kidnap humans, all low key giving people precise directions on how to get.
I did. Listen, if we all show up there, they can't take us all. If we all show up there, we can't take us all. Right? It's like that.
To that point, I've heard. I wouldn't know, but I've heard that marijuana can make you paranoid.
No.
Do you think that might have something to do with it?
Who told you that?
Jeff, those are liars. Don't listen to the liars.
I mean, me personally, I wouldn't know. I'm just saying. I've heard that.
There was a guy on the one side I looked at said he was driving by them and just all day beeping his horn. So people would be too scared to go in the area because he didn't want something bad to happen to him. One picture that the guy took where the pin was in his area, it was a dumpster. Like, thought that was a little weird. I mean, granted, I imagine the people who get paid $6.42 an hour by Google to drive around that shitty van taking pictures of these places, I'm sure they're just not disgruntled and just don't give a fuck which direction picture they're taking.
No.
It's aliens, people. The aliens.
No. Aliens. Aliens.
Aliens.
That's all
Fair
I'm
enough.
saying.
Okay. Well, on that note, we'll start our little conversation here that we want to just talk about our podcast, kind of give maybe the audience, it'll be fun for you just to get some insights into the background of the podcast and kind of why we're doing it and what we're doing. Hope it's entertaining in some way, but it is genuinely just out of the interest of kind of thinking back on what we did. We did a short truncated version of this. I don't know if the crew remembers at the end of one of our movie reviews last year, and I had a lot of fun with it. So I figured I'd kind of dedicate this entire episode to doing it. So the first thing I wanted to kind of talk about is, obviously the way the podcast started, which, we all knew each other. And I think it's come out on the podcast before. We all knew each other through the horror community and specifically through the podcast horror community. We kind of got to know each other. I didn't know Jeff at that time. Obviously Jeff knew Eli, and I'd only met Eli once before that, but I had this idea of doing a podcast that kind of was a little more focused on the kinds of things that I was interested in, and kind of, batting the ball around with you all early on about this concept of a podcast that's about, creature features and sci-fi and folk horror and sort of the more detached, isolated horror that always hit me in a very special way. Those were always much more impactful to me than the suburb killer kind of thing. That was not something that I could relate to. So when I kind of pitched it to you guys, just to see if it was something you were interested in, because obviously I wasn't going to do it on my own. It was something that was my main goal, was to pick something, some topic or some content niche that was interesting enough to my friends that they would want to commit to getting together once a week and hopping on the phone and talking. So, why did you want to do it? What was it about the concept that was interesting to you, and what were your expectations of what the podcast would become?
Wait, Dave, you didn't want to do it on your own? So you mean you didn't want to build a shed in your backyard where you just scream silently into the night about your most inner thoughts and desires?
No, I already have one of those.
Oh, okay. Okay. Because I mean, I didn't, maybe I thought I was the one that sounded appeasing to, because that's going to be history one day.
I've got all the isolation I need. I'll put it that way. But it was, obviously I'm at an age and a season of life that I'm not making a lot of new friends because I'm either busy at work or I have a family that I go straight from work to family, and nothing against either of those things. They're obviously very fulfilling for me. But, when we kind of started hanging out online in Slack communities and stuff and talking horror movies, I realized that was a topic or a subject matter that nobody else within my life I really could relate to or talk about, because I didn't want to become the Gabe of my office, the weird, creepy guy who just talks about horror movies. But anyway, so what did you all think of the concept? What were your expectations? And then kind of, were you satisfied with where we landed? Are you happy with the show?
I feel like it's a while now, but like when you first brought it up, because I feel like I've told this to numerous people too, and people say like, "Oh, you're on a podcast. That's so cool," whatever. And like, but we won't listen. No, I'm just kidding. But like, I was like, well, yeah, when my friend came to me, whatever, and he said he had this idea, I was like, do I just have to show up and talk? I'm down. Do I have to do a lot of work? I'm so sorry, I'm out. but all you had to say to me was horror and hanging out with you guys, and I was like down to do it, to do it weekly, because much to what you said, we had established friendships in the horror community. talking through other communities for another podcast. But like, we were already doing that so much, but not like engaging in a more like in this in like a, conversational manner or reviews or whatever, so whatever. I totally saw your vision. It didn't matter to me because it was horror. That's all I need here. You want to pick a genre of horror? That's fine. I'll still do it because it falls. What you didn't say to me were rom-coms or, comedies or no offense, Joe, we love you, but Hallmark movies. Like you didn't say those words to me.
So you're in.
Thank God.
What would have happened if he came and said, "Hey, I want to do a Blair Witch fanfic podcast"?
It was out.
Blair Witch
Would have been
fanfic.
you guys.
Good luck to you.
And like once a month, you expect us to write our own fanfic piece. I mean, I already have hours and hours in my head now.
Shortest lived podcast.
I'm speaking for myself. I'm a big, and granted, I'm talking about childhood, but even through, I'm a big quitter of things. Like I pick up hobbies, I quit them. When I was younger, I joined a million sports, I quit them all. And that, like I said, even now, hobbies I do, art projects, whatever, I tend to like quit. So I'm personally shocked that like, that this
we're still doing
I
it.
didn't quit. Yeah. But I will say here, I've never thought about quitting this. You know what I mean? Like that's never been a thought. Because I enjoy like doing it. And
yeah, the weekly date is really nice.
Yeah, it's fun. And you brought up the beginning at the top of this when you mentioned like I knew John. I didn't know Jeff at all, and I didn't know Eli really at all besides by name, and then besides the wedding in which we didn't even really get to hang out with you guys.
Yeah, which was only like 6 months before we started the podcast.
But it was like I always have like this little mini regret that like the wedding wasn't after this podcast, because I think we would have had.
Dave got to know Jeff and I intimately at that wedding, as he got to watch the DJ walk in on Jeff and I changing and not leave.
That was
nice.
interesting.
Okay,
yeah, he just
fine. Like
Jeff and I are standing in our underwear. Yeah, we're standing in our underwear. Now at that time, Jeff wasn't in his Sasquatch underwear.
Right,
man.
Yeah.
But like we're both in our underwear.
Well, those hadn't
audience.
arrived on the scene just yet.
Yeah,
That's true.
they weren't in circulation.
To be fair,
So for our audience, real quick, I feel like I need to clarify this so that they don't get taken the wrong
Do
way.
you though?
I officiated
Oh yeah.
Eli's wedding. So we're in the groom's area. That's why they were in there.
That's we weren't just like standing in a room.
See,
but like
you guys have a different style. I prefer to make statements and let people's imagination fill in the gaps.
Well, there was no imagination that day, as Dave's sitting there going through his notes. Jeff and I are in our underwear, getting ready to put our suits on. Some guy just walks in and he turns and we're like, "Oh, we're changed." He goes, "Yep," and then just stood there. And I'm like, "All right,
He could care less. Yep.
okay,
Cool.
I knew Eli was
skipped a
going to be. I knew Eli
Like,
was
all
going
right,
to be
well.
like on brand when I was sitting there going, like he said, going through my notes and kind of get a vibe for who he was, how serious he was, and he starts spouting out Silmarillion quotes, and I'm like, okay, I have a point of reference.
I snuck a Tolkien poem into the wedding. No, a lot of people didn't realize till after.
I will say just a little like caveat to my note, although it's a regret and I wish it might be for the best that we didn't all know each other so well before by the wedding, because it would have divulged into a campfire tale, right? And that's kind of how that's when when we started doing the campfire tale, and it was by that the Skinwalker Ranch episode. I was like, oh, okay. Oh, this is what this is going to be. And that's why I brought Jeff in, because that's what Jeff and I do every day. Like, Campfire Tales is like Jeff and I's life. Like, that's how we talk. And that's how we are.
Yeah, I mean, basically, you guys like, hey, do you want to talk about weird nonsense? I'm like, all right, sure.
Yeah, I was going to ask
I was
Jeff,
like, are we already doing that? Like,
yeah. And like Jeff and I wanted to do a podcast. We tried with someone else. It just turned into a pizza party. I think it's the best way to explain that. But so then we did this one. It's like we talk nonsense like this anyways. Like we go to movies and like we're sit there and just talk like about this bullshit like that happens and make jokes and stuff. So no day.
Yeah, your
because like for me,
chemistry is very good.
I'm not huge into horror movies. I think honestly most horror movies are just nonsense. Like I'm not scared. I'm not, you know what I mean? But like the actual like like kind of what they're based on, or even just the the human tales of things that the told around a campfire. Not to hit it, not to be too on the nose here with it, but you know what I mean. Like that interests me more because there's a little bit of a history element to it, and kind of where did it come from, and and I suppose I don't know. I think a lot of times horror movies kind of ruin that kind of stuff. Just the directors or whoever, they'll put their own twist on it, and it's like, well, there's already something good. You don't need to try to be clever,
But is there when it's like a rock, Jeff? When it's like a rock with a handprint?
I didn't say everything was good. Okay, like, and by the way, how dare you? That
I was gonna say
one of the best pieces we have ever covered. That was a hard-hitting piece. That should be on 2020.
I'm just saying, I don't know anybody that's brought the truth to Maul Dyer like we did. That's all I'm saying.
True.
Fair enough. I don't know anybody who's talked about Maul Dyer for an hour or whatever and a rock.
Yeah, name me another podcast that's talked about the freaking donkey lady.
Nobody ever. No, I don't. Nobody's ever.
Or how about the Candy Lady of Texas?
Yeah,
and we also
probably if you're in Texas, there's a couple.
I doubt it. And then and we also took a deep dive into like hobo economy. We're also going to hear about that.
Yeah,
or the word hobo.
Yeah. All right, I've heard that from like my grandma.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We should go back and count how many times we said the word hobo.
Like a hobo count?
Had to be 150 at least. Like,
I think so.
Nothing makes us relate best with the kids than us constantly talking about hobos.
Yeah, right? I mean, come on.
We're just doing a public service.
Or like them like riding old-timey trains, like car hopping, which doesn't happen anymore.
How do you know?
Everybody knows they don't go on trains no more.
Everybody, that's a bold statement.
That's common. That's a hobo.
I can tell you for a fact that I don't know that they don't.
Well, have you studied hobology?
I have. I've dabbled in it. I've dabbled enough to know that they may or may not still, quote unquote, ride the rails.
Wow. I think rails is referring to something else now.
And there's
the white lightning.
Campfire Tales energy that we
yeah.
Know what that means.
You know exactly what it means.
John, what about you?
I don't know. What about hobo energy? Hobo energy is awesome.
No, about the podcast.
See, this is. I feel like we're on Campfire Tales Junior or something. We're just slightly adjacent.
This is the blend of both. Yeah.
Oh, it's something. Now the podcast. I mean, I remember when you talked about it, and I was like, okay, so we're just going to be one more podcast floating out there, and the only thing I was just like, the only thing I care about is that. We do this every week. We all get together. We all do kind of what we have been doing. And it doesn't turn into, we have to make this a job.
Right.
And I, unfortunately, and I was up front with Dave. It's like, Dave, I know these are a lot of work. I've been on a few in the past. Unfortunately, I just can't commit my bandwidth to do a lot of work. So for all the fans out there that do listen and do tune in and do love everything, everybody needs to give a ton of kudos to Dave and Eli. Because they are the muscle that
keeping
drives
us standing. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I literally show up.
I said same. I was just waving at you.
Yeah, we just show up. Jamie takes notes. I most of the time don't even take notes. I watch the movie usually the day before to keep it fresh. Sometimes I've watched it twice, but that's the extent of the time that I put into it. I'm so grateful that Dave asked me to keep coming back. I wish I could expend the bandwidth and the time to be on more Campfire Tales, but it's just it's a little bit of a lot. I don't know how Eli does it. He does both shows every week. So everybody that cares an ounce about this show needs to give tons of kudos to both those men, because without them, none of this would happen. And if anyone bought any merch or likes any merch, that's all Dave. And sometimes Eli's harebrained ideas that Dave makes real. I mean, so those two are the driving force behind this whole thing. I just show up and I talk a little bit and I get to laugh and listen to Eli do his thing. And then when I'm lucky enough, I get to spend time with Jeff. Mm-hmm. And
the coveted spot.
The best friend that started at birth.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's grown. The legend grows.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's what I mean. Pretty much, I mean, I'll be transparent. There's been a couple of times where I've wanted to quit just because life or for whatever reason. I mean, I'm just like, I just don't have the time, or if I get frustrated during a conversation, I mean, and that's just like being like super transparent. And it's one of those things I never understood why anybody quit their shows. I know we all kind of came from the BGH family or extended family, and I know multiple of their cast members quit, and I was just like, how could they quit? Dude, it's real. Like again, this is a little bit behind the curtain. It's just this is a lot of work. And not every time you're like ready to do it. And we don't even record week after week after week. Like we do take some breaks. And I mean, even still,
Which
it's
I think
a lot.
is important for what you're talking about, is to give yourself some of those gaps.
Yeah, for sure. But no, in terms of the show is awesome. I mean, I'm not a religious person, but I will say it is a big blessing because it keeps me really connected with Dave, Jamie, and Eli. I unfortunately don't cross paths with Jeff as much, so I don't think our bond is as strong anymore. But I know Eli and I have had moments where we probably want to kill each other. But we've also had some very bonding moments where we kind of have an interesting adoration for each other and share similar viewpoints. So that's been fun. I mean, Jamie's like my sister from another parallel universe that somehow we cross paths, and it's always good. And Dave's like my, I don't know, he's like my older brother. I haven't asked for.
You could say uncle.
No, you're not quite that old. You're not quite that old, buddy.
Dave's like my creepy uncle.
I mean, even maybe Jeff. I know Jeff's definitely younger than I am. And
Jeff,
I know.
Listen, Jeff already proved that you guys had that sleepover all them years ago. You watched 13th part 3.
Oh,
he had the evidence.
He has the evidence. That is, I mean, that's a deep cut for anybody that's listening to this now. If you didn't hear that episode, I mean, if you watch, I don't even think we were posting the videos at that time. I was blushing like deep red just because I was laughing so hard inside, because that is such a like sentimental, visceral memory for me. And I'm like here, like I'm sharing. I'm like, because this movie meant a lot at the time. And then we have Jeff coming in here. Oh yeah, I was, and it just totally riffed on it. It was great. It was great. It was good. It's good stuff. But no, it's a good show. Again, sometimes it's love-hate, but it's 90% love.
Yeah, and you know, I think that's part of it. That's one of the things I actually enjoy about it. And I know that Jamie and I and Matt have had a conversation about this before when we've talked about other shows. There it is. There's a background.
Oh man, no beard. It's like weird to look at now.
Well, I mean, no one expects you to have a beard when you're 13. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's
But Jeff did.
Jeff does.
Yeah, that's me when I try to be part of the gang. You guys wouldn't let me.
Until Jeff speaks, nobody's going to have any idea what we're referencing.
No.
There he is.
Oh, because you have it on focus or whatever. So until it goes to Jeff, nobody knows.
I know, it's funny.
We're all
Everybody's just laughing in the background.
So anyway, but my
Classic.
my point was the fact that we don't all just nod our heads and agree on everything is kind of what I enjoy about what we do. You know, that I know that when we do a folk horror, Jamie's going to have a counterpoint to my point. It's just not her genre. It's not something, the pace of those and the storytelling structure of those are just not something that she aligns with. But I enjoy having the conversation with my friend about something that does matter to me. I'm not trying to convince her of anything. And I think that's where a lot of people go wrong, is when they get into a discourse or any sort of debate about something, somebody's got to be right and somebody's got to be wrong. The episodes that I enjoy the most that we've done are the ones that we know going into it. And a good example for me would be something like the Wicker Man. I knew where Jamie was going to be, but she came in and she enjoyed the conversation. She focused on the part that she did have fun with, which was talking to us and letting me and Eli gab about the history and the folk legend and all of that stuff. And then that stuff is why I enjoy it. I think we fight fair most of the time. I think there are times when passions run high and somebody's got to be right. And that just happens anywhere. But for the most part, we all we know going in kind of where each person stands. And for the audience, so, you know, we do not talk about the review most of the time before we hit record, because I like having that reaction. I like having the response and having the dialogue and kind of talking through differences of opinion. I think that's important. And I think, and I'm not saying we're doing any cultural benefit here, or we're doing some great social experiment, but I will say that at least I can go to bed at night knowing that our show represents how people can have very differing opinions and still be really good friends and respect each other's opinions for the most part.
I mean, is there I don't want to say is there, but to me, well, what we do is a review, right? I mean, so to speak, and how much is there a review when everybody just agrees? Don't get me wrong. When we all agree on a movie, it's a lot of fun because we all love the movie. There's nothing wrong with that also. Mm-hmm. But it's like, if you're going to have a conversation about a movie and everybody's just going to be like, that was my favorite scene. That was my favorite scene too. This movie is awesome. Yeah, this movie is really awesome. Mm-hmm. With no counterpoint like a debate, like you said. And yes, we could all get heated, some more than others. And I'm pointing at myself, and I know Eli's in that bucket too, but that's fine. That's who we are. Eli, trucies. It's why we are now BFF. But to me, that's what makes it more interesting than everybody just sitting and being is a conversation about it, like you said, and different points on why someone may loathe Blair Witch and why someone may love Blair Witch. But at the end of the day, like you said, no one, at least I take it all in good fun. I'm never going to convince you guys that it's a bad movie. You love it. You're never going to convince me that it's a great movie. Right. I've seen it, and I have my own opinion. That's what opinions are for.
Exactly.
But yeah, I agree. It's funny because some of my favorite episodes will be where we all agree, but some of my favorite episodes will be when there's such stark contrast in opinion. Because
polar opposite teams. Yeah. And both of those are fun for very different reasons. But I guess to your point, when I listen to other podcasts, there are some out there that they only do movies that they want to gush over because it's safe.
Yeah.
Because people don't want to have conflict in their life. They don't want to argue in a public forum about things that are important to them. Whereas the things that are important to me, that's where I want to have a public discussion because they're important to me. And if somebody has a differing opinion, I want to talk that out with them. Not because, again, that I'm trying to convince them of anything, but I want to improve my position by actually having it tested by somebody who doesn't believe just like I do. But there are a ton of podcasts out there, and nothing against them, but they're just not my spice, where everybody loves it. And if you don't love it, it gets really awkward and they don't know how to talk through it and stuff like that. But I enjoy going back and forth on episodes like Mandy, where I was kind of in a corner by myself, kind of defending, and John was there, but he as John usually does, he's not going to engage in the argument. He's
in the crazy.
When the poop talk starts, he's just going to tap out. Yeah.
Well, listen, when we go into every recording, I said this one that was the on air one of the first couple months we recorded. I'll repeat it now. I know when I open my mouth, 9% of the people listening is going to disagree. Well, guess what? 9% of people are wrong. I don't give a shit.
Point this whole time, yeah.
Don't give a shit.
No way.
I said it.
No, we are all, we all have our stances or opinions, and I like that we stick to them. It's nobody's a pushover.
And I really enjoy when there's something obscure, and one that we did this year that comes to mind, like Maximum Overdrive. That's a crap movie, but Eli has a nostalgic memory of that movie, and it holds a very special place in his heart for that. And I enjoyed hearing him defend it while we were laughing about how stupid it was.
well, Jeff, you like it too, don't you?
I do. I enjoy Maximum Overdrive.
Yeah,
but we didn't have Jeff at the time.
That's true. I was swinging by myself.
Yeah,
what Jaime is saying is we don't care what Jeff likes.
Wow.
That's not true. I value Jeff's opinion. But Jeff earlier said he doesn't really like horror movies. So now I'm taking back what about Jeff.
I don't really consider that a horror movie, to be honest with you. I mean,
okay, well, we might
fair, Jeff. We might. Yeah, we're in agreement there.
I mean, to me, like I said, once again, most horror movies are just kind of I find a lot of them way more funny than I do
Well, yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm just like, what is going on? Like like Maximum Overdrive, right? The movie's ridiculous, but that's why it's good. You know what I mean? Like it's because it's a stupid clown face tractor trailer that does the stupidest crap that anybody. It's so far fetched that it makes it good. You know,
right? Yeah, I mean, and that position, I enjoy that, that you have that love for it. I have the same feeling about Cocaine Bear, which you think is dog shit. But
yeah, I didn't really care for that movie.
It's a fun, goofy movie.
That movie may have changed my opinion on some people on this podcast. I'm just saying, just throwing that out there.
That's okay.
That review put hurt feelings in my heart, and
there are very few times in my life I thought I could just get up and walk out.
No, Eli, stop breaking my heart. Stop breaking my heart.
We did. We looked at each other. We're like, we should just leave because this is bad. Like,
no.
And like you could tell because we just like looked over at each other and we're like,
and like normally we're people like whispering back and forth, like laughing, making jokes, whatever. And that it was dead silent.
Like, Dave, shut off their mics. Shut off their mics. Can you mute them? Mute them.
No, it's okay. I'll do all that in post edit.
It could be like, I love cocaine.
Yeah, it's gonna destroy. He's gonna put pieces of you guys.
He will, because that's what that clown did with my elf voice, which I just found out about 3 months ago.
Yeah, this is the week before Christmas. I think it's about time for
man.
Hey, listen, dude, I'm wearing my sweater. What more you want from me?
No, I want Eli the elf to come back. That's what I want.
I storyboarded, shot, edited, and published a freaking video for you.
Of a corn cob.
For me, I had to purchase and wear a Christmas sweater for a month now. Do you know how much of time I spent wearing a Christmas sweater in my life?
Are you wearing that to holiday, like family holiday stuff?
No.
You know,
he just wears it on the episode.
Without having your camera in the proper angle, that shirt just looks like it has a butt with a Christmas hat on it. Like that's what it looks like.
And I'm still wearing it.
Like when you're just sitting here, all you can see is just the butt.
It looks like a butt cheek.
Yep. And that was no accident, I'm sure.
Probably not.
Our listener, Dave, will be very proud. He just needs to go to YouTube and enjoy it. So something has come up, and it is one of the questions that I've got listed here. And, Jeff, you kind of hit this up by saying horror is not really your genre. And Jamie reacted to that because obviously to us, horror is a big part of, it's a big part of our lives in different ways. Like for me, I love action movies, sci-fi movies. I mean, horror isn't my whole life, but when I'm in a certain mood or going through something emotionally, I want to watch a horror movie. It's always been sort of a safe haven for me. It's always been something that has that I've enjoyed. And it's always been important to me because, and I think I've mentioned this several times on the podcast, but the main reason horror has been important to me throughout my life is because I'm a person who is stuck in my own head a lot. Like I way overanalyze everything going on around me, what other people are doing or saying, and being paranoid and, inner dialogue running out of control all the time. I just can't shut my brain off. And it's usually pretty toxic stuff that I'm putting myself through in my own head. But horror has always been sort of almost a therapy session for me because it gives me a thing to put my anxiety into that then has an ending and then I can walk away. It's very therapeutic, but cathartic to me that horror has. Even when I was a kid going through the stress of a horror movie, even when, obviously as a middle-aged adult at this point, I am fully aware of the fantasy that a movie is. When I was younger, obviously I would get much more engaged and more deeply pulled in by all movies, including horror movies. But even at my age now, a new horror movie, even the tropes that it has and the pacing it has that I'm fully familiar with, allows me to disengage from reality in a very specific and unique way that no other. I mean, I love sci-fi movies and action movies, like I said too, but horror is a very specific thing, and the way it relieves me of my stress. But Jamie, Eli, John, why is horror important to you? Kind of, how did you come to it?
I don't know how I came to it. I just feel like it's been a constant, like, when you have those few things, and like, I know we make fun, but it is 90% of what I watch is horror. It's going to be really rare that I throw something else on. And that's by no reason other than like, it's rare that I find a comedy I find funny or something like that. I don't, action doesn't really, for some reason, unless it's a super gory or super bloody action movie or something.
But
that
even bad
crosses
horror
genres.
you can get into,
Yeah, bad horror. I don't know. Like, part of it is like a like I said, a constant / comfort thing. Like literally, like a couple of days ago, I was just not feeling great, and Evil Dead 2013 went on, and it's like, that's a comfort movie, but it's also a comfort genre for me. Like, my background noise always has to be like a horror movie. Like, it just does. And it could be one of the worst ones in the planet. It's why I've seen some of these more than I should, because if that's the only horror movie on television, like, that's what's going to go on like my TV when I'm like looking through cable. Mm-hmm. Why? I think, not to quote Beetlejuice, but like, I myself am strange and unusual. I think those things have, and that's a movie I saw as a child that came out, in 89. I don't want to age myself, but I was under 10. So like,
no, you just wanted to age me. Thanks.
But like, those things have the dark, the disturbing, obviously it's different when you're little versus now, but everybody who knows me knows, like, I love Tim Burton. He is someone that's been in my life since I've been under 10. And it's like, his visuals have always been mostly, he does both very well, but dark and disturbing and a little bit sad and a little bit depressing. And like, all these things have always like resonated with me, even at a young age. Call it what you will, call it teenage angst, call it whatever. But like, literally sitting here with an all black bedroom right now at the age I'm at now. And you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. There's just like, it's just something about horror that sits well with me, not, and it appeases all those sides of me that have like all those moods and emotions. And, and there's just something cool about horror that doesn't come up in a lot of other genres. I think we said this before, and like, where are you going to see a sci-fi, like you said, or maybe a fantasy, but like, where are you going to see special effects like you see in horror? Like, right. I know they're there in other genres, but they're most appreciated in horror. Like, they do exist. Makeup exists in all these movies, aging makeup and all these different things, and beauty makeup. But it's like the gore and the horror and the special effects, like, that really like stand out to me as being awesome. Like, someone created that. Like, someone is doing that, and it's fucking cool. Right. And it's just like the coolest genre to me too.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was trying to articulate it with a friend who we were having this conversation about why I watch horror. And I don't know that they got it when I said it. They probably judged me more than intook what I was trying to tell them. But from my perspective, horror has always been the closest to the real world. Like, people are mean and hateful and evil, and the world out there is not a safe place. And I know part of that is just my perspective on the world and me laying that over that. But I also defend that compared to a comedy or an action or a drama
or rom-com,
horror is probably much closer to what's actually outside your door.
Yeah.
Well, I have never been kissed under a shooting star by an international pop star, so you might have something there.
What about you, Eli?
Yeah, I mean, there's a multitude of reasons I could go into. I mean, one of them, I grew up in a really rural area with a very rural family, and I spent a lot of time with my grandmother and great grandmother, who their method of raising a child was just scare the shit out of them. Like, if you're bad, that's the devil driving by to take you, so you should be good, or like stuff like that, like old cartoons. I think, on episode of Lord Masters, I made the mistake of telling Jeff the story about the ratty Santa Claus my great grandmother used to scare me with. So I think I was just kind of like raised up, and like, then like the spooky legends and lores in the area, stuff like that. So like, and then I started watching horror at a very young age. I don't ask me why that was the whole thing, but it was, and I enjoyed it. I primarily watched that for, you son of a bitch. You mean this?
You knew it was coming. You should not have mentioned it. The moment you said it, I knew it was coming.
I save all that. I keep them all.
I know you do. I know you do. You sick and disturbed
I keep it
person. But yeah, I spent most of my life watching. I like stories, and I like action movies, but like a lot of times the story is not great, or like there's not much of a story. And you can argue that with horror, but a lot of the great horror films have, I think, some of the most built out stories, and they can take stories really slow and they can take them really fast, and it could be there's the different version of scary associated with a fast one versus a slow one. So I like the stories in horror a lot, and even now I still watch a lot of horror, and now I also watch a lot of Judge Judy and Gordon Ramsay videos that I wasn't watching when I was a kid. But
all right, Grandpa.
Man, I can't help it. I love the Jude, but I still watch a lot of horror because now I find the older I get, I'm rewatching a lot of the same stuff because it's not the same stories, and maybe it's get these young kid stories off my lawn. But the stories in horror, I always just liked them better. I always thought they were told better. They always hit home better, and there's always themes in there that I like fantasy. The knight going fighting the evil wizard, or whatever. It's the same principle with everyone, or like rom-coms, action, whatever. It's all the same story. But with horror, though, they could get into telling different cautionary tales, and there are different types of heroes and things like that. I always appreciated.
They can get really interesting. I get it. Other genres can too. I know anything we say could probably be fun, but it just feels like horror can get way more interesting.
Except for rom-coms.
Because you can go so many directions, like we said. Like it could be monster horror, it could be human beings, it could be a virus, it could be like it's just like you got so much to play with and still be in the horror genre.
Yeah, and you really get to dive deep on the consequences, which action isn't going to go deep down into what actually happens when you frickin' take a building to the ground in your action movie.
Yeah.
Your big disaster movie. What's actually going on?
Now that I think about it,
Vin Diesel faces no consequences. Yeah.
Really? Yeah, because like honestly, you think
I think let me revise my previous statement. I think like the hardcore horror stuff isn't my like I enjoy like crossover movies and creature, like what I mean. I don't really care about slasher movies. There's only a couple of them that are really good, like Halloween, Friday the 13th, like what I mean. But like so we'll say that I'm not as into horror maybe as you guys,
but a good monster probably movie is right up your alley,
right? Yeah, and I guess that is technically horror, or like something like Event Horizon, which is still a horror movie. It's
very horror,
high sci-fi crossover. You know what I mean? So,
and you really like The Exorcist.
Yeah, the original one.
The original.
And I like the Pope's Exorcist too.
Oh my god!
I went back and rewatched that movie. It's a masterpiece.
It's not. Movie. You know what though? I will say this.
Watch this. I haven't seen it.
It's a masterpiece.
After watching The Exorcist Belieber, I think the Pope's Exorcist is a masterpiece too.
Well, I've heard that movie is terrible. So
not good.
Not good.
John, what about you?
Oh,
horror become a big part of your identity?
That sleepover with Jeff.
Obviously, that was where it all began.
We've already covered this. I mean, it's
I mean,
sorry.
Jeff diverted away from horror. I steered into it. So
that was the divergence, we call it.
The divergence,
the singularity.
Well, it's funny you mentioned the sleepover, because I mean that sleepover story, for anyone that ever remembers that story, that's pretty emblematic of kind of like me at that age, in terms of it's probably similar to what the British went with, what they like the nasty tapes. I can't remember, the naughties, whatever, the ones that were like kind of banned. Those movies, the horror aisle felt so like you weren't supposed to go down there. I wasn't old enough. It was like
taboo.
Yeah, perfect example. Yeah, it's like taboo. Like and I look at the covers. Like my favorite cover of any VHS tape ever is Creepshow. Favorite, hands down, one of the best, because I was traumatized by that. When I saw that, I thought that was the scariest thing in the world, and can't remember the year it came out, but I was probably like 4 or 5, be my guess. And seeing that in the video store, just that, it's like all that stuff. I made the movie so much more than they were. And now as an adult, now that I can go back and watch those, I watched it. I was like, what was I scared of? Like, these aren't scary at all. I mean, some of the more modern movies, the ones that terrify me, are way more cerebral and way more. But in terms of similar to you, Dave, it is some of it is a little bit traumatic, and sometimes it's like I've always had this interest. I've always preferred villains, even though I like my heroes. I'm always more interested in the villains. They always have a better story to them. The heroes are usually pretty much a blank slate, so the audience can kind of just slap their own head on them in their brains. But the villains always got the cool story. Like, and so because of that, I've always been attracted to the darker stuff. Like your Beetlejuices. I know Jamie talked about that movie. I don't think I still get it. Maybe I need to watch it again. Like when I saw that as a kid, I'm just like, what am I watching? I just didn't get it. Like it was like over my head. I just didn't understand why. Is this supposed to be funny? Is it supposed to be scary? And I've never gone back and watched it as an adult.
I just want to clarify. Are you saying Beetlejuice was too complex for you?
Wait. Wait.
No, it's not complex.
Questions.
No, I just wanted to make sure that's.
It's not. It's not.
Surely, saying that.
But as a kid, though, I'm telling you from my kid's perspective, I was just like left like, what am I supposed to be laughing? Am I supposed to be scared? Is this like there are moments that stand out? I'm like, this is terrifying. Yes, Jamie, go ahead.
Are you telling me you have not watched Beetlejuice since like 1989?
Correct.
And I just hung out with you and we didn't fucking watch one of the best Tim Burton movies of all time.
Yeah, we didn't watch Beetlejuice. I mean, no, I'm happy to revisit it. It's just
there's a watch along. I don't care who wants to join, but John and I are watching Beetlejuice.
It's happening.
Yeah, no, I'm happy to do it.
Holy shit. It is.
And if he still hates it,
no, we have a problem.
And Dave, to be honest, I didn't hate it. It wasn't like hate. I was just
just too complex for him.
Yes. Well, considering I mean, and I will age myself, I guess. I was 8 years old when I saw it in a drive-in movie theater with my parents.
Oh my God. We need to, oh my God. Oh, I can't. I can't handle this.
Edward Scissorhands, also one of those things. It was just too odd for me. I was just like, hey.
Jamie just fell out of the chair.
Oh,
that is my third favorite movie of all time. I was going to say,
I would argue that is Bird's best. Is
It probably is.
Didn't you say
Nightmare
something
for Christmas is
about
my
firing?
favorite.
Well, see, Nightmare Before Christmas, instant classic.
No, but Eli's right. Edward Scissorhands is probably like his bet is probably like.
But again, haven't seen it since I was a kid.
Phenomenal.
Haven't seen it since I was a kid.
John, we're having a holy shit. Okay.
We're having a Tim Burton marathon.
Yeah, those
you
two are the
can't
best.
really appreciate the nuances of it until you watch it as an adult, I think. Unless you're very sophisticated.
No, because I've listened to podcasts and I'm like, that's what that movie was about? Wow. Really? Okay.
We're going to watch them both. You just let me know when you're available. Whether it's right in the new year, we got to do this. Whoever wants to join. But oh my God, back to back.
But no, in terms of like back to the horror, what brought me to it is just always being like, I love being scared. Love being scared. I know there's a terrible story about my dad. I shouldn't say terrible. It's terrible for my dad, but he was assigned me to take me into the haunted house. My mom had to babysit my sister at the time. And he's like, he's going to freak out when he gets to the door. He's not going to go in because I made the thing in my head way bigger. And that's pretty much why I like scary stuff to this day. And I did freak out and I did not go in and my dad did not get his money back. He was pissed.
But now you have that story forever.
Yes, he remembers it. My mom laughs. It's a great time.
And now you go in haunted houses.
Mm-hmm. We have very different stories because I was like 5 or 6 with my grandma. She lived next to the little convenience store. And they used to let you do a tab in the country at the convenience stores.
Oh, nice.
And when she would be working at the restaurant, she was a cook at the local restaurant. I would walk across the street to the store and I would always get Friday the 13th Part 6 and a bag of penny candy. And I'd say, oh, I'll go to my grandma's tab. And he'd always go, did you ask your grandma? And I go, yeah. And he goes, all right. And I would, like 5 or 6 walking out VHS, Friday the 13th Part 6. Part 6. That you're talking Jason Lives. Yep.
Oh hell yes. That is still my favorite.
Yep. Because I still remember the first time I saw a scene where that little girl's praying under her cabin bed and he's walking in. Look.
It's good. It's a good one.
Yeah, we know Eli had a different upbringing when he was totally okay with taking his 5-year-old brother to see the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake.
Listen,
dude, why not?
Okay, first off, he didn't have to go. I didn't want him to go. Okay, he just got brought along. Not my problem. All right, I wanted to see that movie.
Collateral damage.
Oh, it's not that bad, Mom. Don't worry. 5-year-olds can handle it easy.
Hey, you know what? It was time for him to grow up. That was the day.
Now, what does your brother have to say about it now?
Don't care.
Okay.
That
talk
is the
anymore.
day. Yeah. I mean, yeah, he lives in the woods like a wild person. Whatever. Who cares?
Okay. Okay.
It's probably
Dave-
because of that movie.
Hey, you know what though? I got to watch that movie and I enjoyed it.
Eli got his. That's all that matters.
Fair enough.
No shame.
So one thing we've never even talked about offline, but I'm curious about is, obviously you all have your own network of friends and family that you may have shared about the podcast. What kind of feedback have you gotten from friends and other people around you that you've told about the podcast? What kind of things have they said? What impressions have they had on what we're doing here?
More
Mary's-
bear movies.
Do what?
More bear movies.
More bear movies.
More
Done.
No.
Watch
Uh,
Bear movies.
I know Mary's mom is always coming to me about Jeff and I's potty language. Also about me, the fact that I talk about poop a lot.
No,
and
no.
also-
Feedback
What?
as well, shockingly,
And
that there was
also,
a lot of poop talk.
Dave, she says, you and I should go teach at a college course because sometimes when we get into our, like with Nope, she's like, I didn't understand what you were saying. And
Fair.
she goes, but
That's
you were
fair.
using more swear words.
She was taking tally, and I won.
Well, it's probably why she didn't understand because she was too busy counting me using all the bad words.
Well, hi, Joan. I hope you have a very Merry Christmas. I know you're listening, so we love you, and we hope you have a very Merry Christmas.
That's still
Don't
like
you
the
think maybe
sweetest
you
thing.
should? Don't you think maybe you should apologize for all your potty language?
No.
Yeah.
I don't have
Some of
potty
us
language.
can't apologize for their potty language. You can't help it.
Dave's an adult. He doesn't have
Or
to
sometimes
apologize.
like Jeff and I, like I know what was the episode? Oh, when Jeff, when you and I were breaking down with the Bloody Harps episode, we kept talking about pee.
yeah.
She's like, how could you talk about pee that long? I'm like, well, they were peeing on people.
They peed on a lot of people. I mean, what are you gonna do?
That's kind of their thing.
It was a rich vein in that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, I see what you did there.
Ah,
See what you did there.
I mean, I was told, which was I think I wrote back, that's exactly the point. In a good way. Like that it's like, like listening is like hanging out with friends, like having a conversation with friends or whatever. And I was like, that's exactly the point of it, I guess,
That's why
like
we're doing
that's
it, yeah.
that's literally why we're doing it. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I have like, no degree in cinema.
Right.
Like I am literally sitting here just to make dumbass comments about movies that I most likely have seen numerous times. And some I have not. And I like when we, but
Yeah. There's not
why I show up.
There's not a film critic among us. I mean, none of us are professionally trained in that. And legitimately, we're also not terribly concerned with growing a community. We love that other people listening, but we're not out there advertising or anything. We'll tell our friends and family, and we do have, for whatever reason, we do have a community that is growing, and we're very grateful for that and very happy with that. I mean, we've got people that listen all over the world and then engage with us in social media, which blows my mind every time it happens. But yeah, you're right. I mean, anybody who's getting anything from this, my one wish for them is that they feel like they're part of the conversation, that they're being represented by somebody. I think to the point we made earlier about we all have different perspectives. The nice thing about that is there's a much better chance that anybody who listens, they'll find somebody who has a similar position on
As them, yeah.
as them, and they feel like they're represented.
I also feel like I know guys, we can get a little too deep, but something that I've liked, and I'm not a big podcast listener. Now, we all met through one. I listen to that religiously, and I've listened to a couple others like routinely, but it's not all broad. But like the thing that I like about the ones I listen to always have been like when you're in on the joke, when you've listened long enough that you get some of the, and like, I know we have a ton of fucking inside jokes, but to me, it's like, and it's like, I always want people to go back to a certain point, at least, so they get so many of them. But, and I get it could be a little bit like alienating, but at the same time, I think when you do get it, it's so much fucking fun that way because like you know what people are referencing and talking about and dumb inside jokes and dumb references and some things at this point that we just say and throw away, you know, like, you know, but like truces, whatever. But I mean, like we'll just say a word and move on. And it's just like, you know.
Or Jeff's problematic spatial awareness, the same as an infant baby.
Well, speaking of that, like I've had somebody listen to that episode and this is a direct quote, "What is wrong with you guys?"
What, the Bigfoot mysteries one?
Yeah,
That's like the best feedback we could get.
It was
Actually,
literally
it
it was a girl I work with. She's like, I listened to your show last night, and she's like, "What's wrong with you guys?" Like straight face, well, there was a hint of concern. Like,
well, which part was it? Was it your spatial awareness or the theory I presented of Bigfoot
delve too
having
deep.
sex with cows?
that one had a lot going on, though. That's also the corn cob. There's a lot
true.
there.
That's been one of the best moments of the year right there. Is the
that was
corn
last
cob
year, I think.
That was last year,
no,
yeah.
corn cob bird feeder? No,
Yeah,
Dave made that this year.
Oh,
No,
made
real.
it.
Well,
Made
it
it.
is
Yeah,
No, we're talking. I thought you meant when we introduced, or when
because
I
that
introduced
episode
that
is
one.
still.
Oh no,
fucking,
the introduction pales in comparison to what Dave's video does.
That's the one. I think that's still the one where I was crying. No, that's the other one. I don't know. That's the other one.
There's
I was
been
crying
quite a
in both
few.
of them.
Yeah.
I was crying in both of them, but
We've
still,
had a good time.
yeah.
Man.
And for reference, if anybody wanting to know what episode we're talking about, this was a 22 season 1 episode after Legend of Boggy Creek. The Campfire Tale was Bigfoot Theories, and it goes off the rails nearly immediately. So you're welcome. Go check it out.
Oh man, there's so many. There's so many fun ones.
2 weeks or 2 Campfire Tales after that is when we're introduced to another meme that we talk about on a regular basis, which is the Donkey Lady.
Oh, I miss Sheila. I'll be honest.
You're not on Campfire Tale.
I
She's
know.
still around.
I know. I miss her. That's what I'm saying. I'm not on, so I miss her.
She hasn't gone anywhere.
She's still here. Don't worry.
Good.
She may be part of the new art.
She works at. We found out she works at.
I saw. Oh man, I did see that art.
Frequented truck stops.
She's lived quite a life.
Is she a lot lizard?
Wow! How dare you?
Wow, that's a derogatory term.
And the defenses begin.
Be classy.
Yeah.
When I put in
Is that where
prompt
Donkey
in
Lady
AI,
started?
How dare you.
Donkey Lady, yeah.
How dare you?
Yeah.
Oh, but to answer your question, Dave, it's been interesting. The couple people that like I've heard comments from. I've always been surprised with like. There's only a couple people that I personally know that actually listen to podcasts, and I find it interesting. Like you've called her out by name a couple times, Dave, just to see if she's listening. Her name's Sarah. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
But she has a very I can't remember what the term is, but it's like she doesn't know anybody else except me, but she also has some sort of relationship with all of you. And what is so funny is that I did want her to meet Jaime when Jaime came to visit, just so she could actually meet her. But I'm also kind of glad that she didn't. So when she does listen, her own relationship like can continue.
Whoever
like
Jaime in her mind,
right?
is.
Yeah, it's not shattered. It just.
I'm gonna shatter this.
No. But then you become a real person. Like
Okay.
We can't have that.
No. Like it's kind of it's like when it's like Dave. I don't want like the other Dave, our wonderful interactive
My
fan Dave.
friend
Yes,
Dave.
you're Dave. I almost don't want to meet Dave because I have like I've played a couple games with him a couple times. I have a version of Dave in my head, and I know if I meet him, it's going to change. Probably for the better.
Is that why you quit talking to Jeff after that sleepover party?
Yeah, pretty much. I knew who Jeff. I knew Jeff was.
I'll tell
like,
everybody
nope,
out there listening. If you meet me in real life, I'm exactly the same.
Yep.
Exactly.
This is it.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean,
This
there's
is
not
no
much-
illusion.
Yeah,
That same here. I am no different.
So why did your why did this woman work with you? Said what's wrong with you guys? Why was she surprised?
Well, I'm assuming Jeff's like me. We don't really like people, so I don't really talk to anybody at work.
Oh, my work work at
Well, it's a little bit different,
exactly
like,
how
you
I
know,
am, so it wouldn't
Right.
surprise
Well, it's a
me.
little bit different, like interacting with just me, and then it's seeing how
Oh,
the
yeah,
way- how
the cocktail.
how some like-minded individuals interact together.
I find it still funny to this day thinking about it. obviously Jaime works for a big network, and I think she's mentioned it before, but I won't out her if she hasn't. But she works for a big national network, and she's got executives in that network that she's friends with who she told about her podcast. And I'll never forget the time Jaime told me, I was talking to my friend about the podcast and asked if he had watched it, and he said yes, and then walked away. I said, well, I guess that tells us all we really need to know.
See, I know the one guy. I got the one guy at work close to it, and he likes it. He likes he's listened to a lot. But the only he's besides telling me like, oh, I like it, it's funny. The only other comment guy goes, do you really like Golden Corral that much? And then I was like, I'm not gonna tell you. I'll let you decide.
Yeah, don't
nice
ruin
ones.
the magic.
I do like the nice ones a lot.
But spoiler alert, yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
if it's a nice one. If it's a nice one.
as if that exists.
They do. They do.
Obviously I've got several friends and family because I've been to the point that John made earlier. I make a lot of the designs that we have up in our shop. So I get samples of them to make sure they look right on the shirt. So I have a ton of clothes with Wicked Wild on it. And so I wear it at work, and I wear it around friends and family. And I went to me and my closest friends in college, we get together every year in January. And for the last couple of years, it's been a point of topic of discussion at that event. And what they told me that surprised me, but then as I thought about it, it really didn't surprise me at all, is it's really nice to have access to me and my friends and the conversations we have, like, because they're all in the same boat as I am. Like I said, we're all in the same season of life to where we don't have a lot of time to go out and socialize. It's not like we go bar hopping or anything like that. We've got to be up at 5 o'clock in the morning, and we've got kids to put to bed and all that kind of stuff. But it's nice to have this weekly kind of thing that they can throw on while we're doing the dishes or doing laundry, and hear a bunch of friends just talk nonsense. So that meant a lot to me. But they also referenced, when you're on that podcast, Dave, you sound like Dave from college, and it's kind of concerning. And I said, well, that's kind of
what?
It gives me.
Are you regressing, Dave? When you get behind the microphone?
When I'm with you guys, I am. It's your fault.
Okay.
It's not mine. So.
Awesome. I love
It's
it.
our fault. You know what?
don't
I'll
blame
take
me
it.
for
No,
that.
I'll take it. I don't care. That's fine. Blame me.
It's good to know college Dave still lives.
It's not
Okay.
my fault.
He's out here doing
Your brain's turning younger, and you're falling for joining a cult. I try to guide you. You didn't listen.
It's always the Eli.
On our Piranha episode when I started doing, and obviously I have gotten really good feedback on Dave's Critter Corner. People get a kick out of that. They have fun, and it makes them think of their pets and stuff like that. But on the Piranha one where I talked about my piranha Grendel, my roommate texted me and say, I hated that fish so much. I've totally forgotten about it until you just talked about it.
Aw.
Why did they hate your fish?
Because they
Did you say your fish was named Grundle?
Grendel?
Grendel.
Oh, okay.
I think Grendel, your
English
gooch.
Grendel.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's what Jeff
Well,
was
that's why I was
asking.
like, that seems like a weird name for a piranha. I mean, like,
No, the monster Beowulf fought.
no, wasn't that was from the Fly, right? Grundle Fly.
Yeah.
Grendel yeah. So, sorry, I was going to go on, but I just realized, was there anything else, any other feedback that y'all thought was fun? So, obviously, as we've talked, and we're doing a year in review. So one of the things that I really wanted to talk about is, what is your favorite review we did in 2023? Like, what's the one that still lives in your brain rent free, whether it was you got so enraged or it was such a fun conversation, but what's your favorite, however you want to define that? Like, movie review episode, main show, as we call it, episode. And I'll start with Jeff, who's been
Obviously,
on a couple of them.
Piranha 3D.
That was
Yeah.
a lot of fun.
The best.
And why was it the most fun, Jeff?
Because I was on there.
Obviously.
Also, because it brought my favorite ongoing, now new
Me.
running
Well,
joke.
yeah.
That Eli watched the wrong. Eli, feedback. Listen, I just want to say the feedback I got on that episode was that could not have been scripted better.
Mhm.
That you of all
Literally.
people watched the wrong fucking
Hey,
movie.
And then
You know
had
what?
the strongest opinions.
Amazing.
Hell yes.
I I think a lot of people were kind of like, well, Eli's, he's not that bright, but that just confirmed it. I think.
Wow. Wow.
No, that was fucking perfect. That was comedy gold. That could not. And the moment our brains all like the moment, like I remember asking you, was David Keckner in it because he's in the bad one or whatever. Like it was just so confusing that like, oh my God, that made, I don't even care what happened on that episode because that was one of my favorite moments of this year. Like it can't.
And the most fun was, and what the audience doesn't know is that Eli had been telling us through our Discord all day how hot he was coming in on this. He was excited.
I hadn't watched it a long time. I had watched it, and then I remember when I said, like, oh, no, fuck, that is the first one. I still hated it. I ended up rewatching it. The first one was like, well, let me double check, make sure, I'd watched the wrong movie. And guess what? I hated the first one.
Yeah, okay, all right, whatever. That was a good episode. I listen to only some of them once, and then I don't because I can't stand listening to myself. But I remember having a lot, like when we were done, like 13 Ghosts was fun. And that's just because it's whether you don't like it or like it. We all had fun conversation about like the effects and the nonsense of it. And like, the different ghosts and things like that, like that's just a fun. I tend to like, it doesn't even matter on the opinions. I just tend to like more when we do quote unquote fun movies. So Slither, Deathgasm, Piranha. Yeah, like 13 Ghosts, like the ones that you can't even get deep about, like because they're just so shallow and dumb that like the conversation is seriously just going to be about which dumb joke or which dick kill or whatever it's going to be is going to be, So I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I think I'd have to go 13 Ghosts too.
That was a good one.
I really like Deathgasm though too because there's a lot of dick talk.
Yeah.
I'm going back and forth. And also because Joe realized that him and I are a lot more like
than he wanted to
admit. Hey, Joe, you listen to this, buddy?
You're going to get sued for libel for saying,
oh, man.
He admitted it on air.
He hates it, though, I'm sure.
Doesn't matter. He admitted it on air. I'm in your brain, guy. I'm living there rent free.
He doesn't listen to the podcast, right?
He does not.
Well, if he ever does, now he knows.
You will never.
I'm going to send this clip to him.
What about you, John?
Oh, I was going to say this is perfect segue from what Eli was talking about because my favorite episode, and honestly, it felt like it was way longer ago, was also with Joe. And it was a show y'all weren't even on.
I see how you are.
April Fool's Day. The premise was, I wish we had a larger group of people just to hear their reaction. Like I know we have a small but mighty kind of like group of fans, but it just I wish we had a larger just to see like what
the
people would
have
of it. Yeah, like what the. But it was just so fun to play along with the ridiculousness because initially, I mean, we can let everybody in on the joke now. Initially, none of us were supposed to be on it. None.
Oh, spoiler alert.
I know, Jeff. But it was kind of fun for me because I can't remember who backed out. Do you remember, Dave?
I don't. I'm sorry.
But somebody backed out, so I just volunteered. It's like, oh well, one of us will be on there to kind of like bridge a gap or whatever of the joke. So and just everybody just steered really, really hard into it, and we're making fun of like how either much they hate their own show or how much they love their own show. It was a fun conversation, and Joe Charnews and Joe Ferry had an interesting kind of back and forth, and then Caitlin was just there giggling with me pretty much, but it was fun. And the movie wasn't that bad either. Yeah, and I guess what did you guys think of that show? Did you listen? Because I know that's one show. Yeah, what'd you think?
I thought it was great. I thought y'all had a great chemistry, and I thought the joke landed, which is the thing I was most concerned with. And in all transparency, even the conversation we had, I know Jaime had concerns with us doing that, throwing that at our audience with no explanation and kind of leaving them kind of high and dry like that. But I thought the joke landed well. I thought the people that we had, and obviously we're not going to have some randoms do that. It's going to be people that know us and that actually listen to the podcast and kind of know the dynamics that each of us has. And I thought those were the perfect people to do that. And I thought they did a really good job. And the fact that they leaned into it. And first, I think the topic, April Fool's Day, this 80s goofy horror comedy that is literally poking fun of itself, is the perfect movie to do something like that with. But all the feedback I got on it was well played. Kind of, they were happy to be in on the joke kind of thing. And to their credit, and everybody that I heard from that hosted in that, they really enjoyed sharing that episode with their own communities too, which I thought was a lot of fun. But I enjoyed it. I thought y'all had a blast doing it. I loved Joe being the showrunner and just not knowing what the hell to do or giving a crap, like just running it however he wanted to, and y'all rolling with it.
Yeah, and Joe pretty much said they all quit the show, and the show was over at some point. And I was like, "This is perfect. This is exactly."
Are you talking about my twin?
Yeah, I don't know about your twin, but you guys share some similar interests. Well, Dave, what was your favorite review?
I thought a lot about that one. And honestly, it's kind of a tie. It's between Tremors. I just really, really enjoyed our conversation about Tremors because obviously Tremors is nostalgic for me. It's an important movie to me. And at this point, I don't remember, John, if you came in saying you had never seen it before and that was your first watch, or you watched it and it was never a movie that really meant much to you. But what I do remember is through the conversation and hearing Jamie and I kind of go back and forth about the things that we really cherished about the energy and the heart of the movie, you kind of evolving with us and saying, okay, now I want to watch this movie with you all. Like that.
Yeah, I would have rather watched it with you guys than watched it on my own. Right. That to me, that is like a beer and a shot with friends movie. That is not a watch by yourself.
I was going to pick that episode too, but then I felt bad because Eli wasn't on it. So
that's why.
See what I did for you, buddy?
See, Eli watched the wrong movie again. He couldn't be on that show.
How dare you? First off, I love Tremors.
He loves Tremors. That's why I feel bad.
Yeah.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah, and I think it would be fun to go back and we joked about it on the episode, but there are plenty of those movies to go around, and some of them are so out there that they can make for some really fun reviews.
I don't know.
I like the sequels better.
I made the mistake of watching the last one because like
the newest one.
Yeah, something happened to a certain character, and they make you believe they're in Antarctica just by putting a blue hue over
that's not the
whole film. There's one came out after that?
Yeah. Screecher Island came out after
Jiminy. What they do, just put green over everything?
To Netflix, and it's got Napoleon Dynamite in it. That's all.
Say no more. I have no desire to watch it though.
It's fantastic.
I have no desire because that just seems.
But the one you're referencing, that movie is
hot dog shit.
Yeah. Which came up in that episode, but I really enjoyed that one. You know, honestly, the other one I really enjoyed for very, very selfish reasons is Wicker Man. And I know
Wicker Man was a good one too. Yeah.
I know it wasn't Jamie's cup of tea, but she was such a good sport about it, while me and Eli gushed about this super boring pagan ritual, folklore, history stuff that she could give two shits about. But she played like a really good friend of engaging and asking questions and all that stuff. But that was just a lot of fun to get to talk about topics that I don't get to talk about anywhere else in my life.
Yeah, Jamie did a lot of this. Yeah.
That's cool.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Bunnies, you say.
Oh, yeah. Nice.
But then when we got to the end and we got to Dave's Critter Corner about rabbits, you were happy. Then it was fun. Was that everybody? I think we got
we all hit.
So now, obviously, the follow-up, and I'll let Eli start, is, what is your favorite campfire tale?
Oh, man. We had some bangers this year. The Malleus Maleficarum one of just the dick lightning.
Yeah,
that episode was so good.
That was good.
I also thought Maul Dyer was another banger. That was
it?
oh my god, the fact that we were able to take that story and that fucking rock and drag it over. I think we went an hour and a half of the absurdity of just the story of the rock, and like Jamie not can't like believe, like they're like it just thawed out one day, the guy found it, like it was crazy. That was a good one. I'm looking, oh man, Two Cults to Lie Part 2.
Oh, of course.
That
Come
was
on.
epic. The Corn Demons, I mean, that was a good one. You can't go wrong with that.
Didn't Mama Roommate come for that one? Mama
Corn
Roommate,
Demons,
Roommate?
yeah, she was a
came
Mama
for
Mama
that?
roommate.
Yeah.
I love that
Yeah.
even more.
Yeah, she was a Corn Demon. Then even
Couldn't think of her.
our special report, that was pretty good.
That was
You
a good
guys
one. That was a lot of
located
fun.
me as my brain was
That was my favorite.
Eli's just picking every campfire.
Yeah,
tale.
all
But,
of them.
like,
They're all his
we
favorite.
gotta
They're all
pick some.
gold.
Oh yeah, you can pick some, but I'm just reminding you guys of some of them. Yeah,
I know.
The Lizzie Borden
Lizzie.
one with the
Lizzie.
fucking pigeons.
I did not
Oh my
listen to that
God.
one, so
Oh, you need to. It's so good. Oh, but we had so many bangers this year.
I'll be honest. I let them pile up, and then I go on
Listen,
a campfire bender.
I will never forget. Like when I present the tales, like there are moments when I do these where like I'll say, and I know it's coming. I'll say something, and I watch that split second where you're all like, "What the fuck did he just say?" And like with the Lizzie Borden was one where I talk about how she had like all these pet pigeons, like because she's gonna start a pigeon business, and then what her dad did to him, and like there's a second where you're all like, "Oh, what?" Then like it was like, all right, here we go. Oh, it's so good.
Man, I have an interesting campfire tale story. Just there, if for anyone that's been listening, I don't even know if I share this. I've been remodeling the house that I'm currently in for like 6 years. It's crazy labor of love. Don't recommend it for anybody ever.
Ever
don't
since
do
we've
it.
known John, he's been working on
Yeah.
this house.
Yes, yeah. And
Sounds complicated, like Beetlejuice.
yeah, it was. I would say this is probably a far bit more complicated.
Oh, okay.
But from an 8-year-old's perspective, the house is, I mean, they're both complicated. But anyways, there were many times where I was on a ladder, either putting up tape to paint or doing some sort of thing that was listening to Campfire Tales. And I literally would have to sometimes pause, close my eyes, and just shake my head at the absolute absurdity. There was a couple times when I was working by myself where I would laugh out loud, where it was just so ridiculous. But there were times where I was embarrassed to laugh because I just didn't want to have to explain it to anybody that was either over here helping. It's like, I'm not going to explain why Eli's talking about poop and Bigfoot doing whatever, and then the aliens showing up. Like, dude, I'm not going to bother to try and explain it. Like, it's
maybe
way
you
too
should.
hard. I mean, no, because I can't explain it, because pretty much how Jeff's coworker was like, "What's wrong with you guys?" I mean, that's basically, I'm like, I don't know what's wrong with these guys, but it's funny.
You just say exactly.
So then what was your favorite one, John?
My favorite one was the special report, though, because I believe I was on that episode and things went off the rail, and Dave was definitely, I wouldn't say combative, but say he was playing the the villain in that episode. Yes. But no, other than that one, there was, I don't think I listened to the Corn Demon one. The Bigfoot one, I do remember that one specifically because I was working in my closet doing something, getting ready for paint, and I was just like, "What the fuck am I listening to?
What is happening?"
And it was good. So, but yeah, so just know all your work is not in vain. It did keep my mind busy while doing boring shit around my house.
Me? No. Oh, my favorites are where we play games. We all know that, especially when I win. So Two Cults and a Lie Part 2 is one of my favorites.
Mm-hmm.
I also like the Ghost Idol because I took very fucking diligent notes on that, and I was very proud of myself. Like, I learned a lot that night, and then actually I threw my notes out in like moving, but like, oh my God, pages of notes, Eli. You should be so proud of me because I wanted to make an informed and educated. Some people took this as a joke over here. I'm not going to mention names,
Yeah.
but like some of us were just taking very good notes on, on what
You're here to learn.
went on. I mean, What's the episode we made a cooking show? That one was pretty good at the end. You and I decided we were going to start a cooking show because
which one was that?
Jeff was baffled about the ice cream cake.
That's
the
right.
ice cream sandwich cake.
Yeah, the ice
came
cream
around
sandwich
on that
cake,
I was baffled by, and then I decided I was making one, which I still haven't, Eli. I haven't had
so
it.
good.
I know. Maybe I'll make it for fucking Christmas.
You should.
It just seems like something like a hillbilly Gordon Ramsay would make. You know what I mean?
You know what? I'm gonna take out the compliment.
You look on the internet, and they are like a staple of housewives. They were everywhere.
It seems like the laziest ice cream cake I've ever heard of in my life.
It's delicious. I might make one for Christmas now too, Jamie. Thank you.
I think those were mine.
Oh,
I like
I
when
did listen to them
learn
recently,
things.
Eli. That sounded delicious.
Yeah.
What episode?
It's
was
the
that
end
on?
of a recent one. The Slither. What was with Slither? It's that one. I think.
I was working in my garage.
Was it the end of the
cleaning up.
Roswell incident?
Yes, I think it was. Yeah. I think
I just remember
it was
Jeff.
just the three of us. So if Dave
Ripping
wasn't
apart.
on that one, I think it was that
you're
one.
right. I think you're right.
I did love Jeff's criticism, but at the same time, I'm like, this sounds delicious.
It is. Listen,
It sounds amazing.
when Mary and I first got together, and I was like, they're like, oh, our parents have cooking or something. And I was like, I'll bring dessert. And like, oh, what are you gonna bring? I was like, I'll make an ice cream sandwich cake. And they're like, a what? And they're like,
what?
they're like,
talking about?
they're like, so you just stack. I'm like, just trust me. And then they all loved it. They all loved it because
because it's like 8 desserts piled on top of each other. Like,
it's all delicious.
not shocking that they loved it because
it's like asking a kid to make a sundae.
Whipped cream? Sure, wow.
yeah, you like ice cream sandwiches, whipped cream, candy. Oh, okay, you love this. All right,
Eli, what's the secret though? You got to get the extra big ones.
You can't type. No, I did tell you guys.
Yeah, you
I
did.
get
it's on the episode.
Yeah, I think they're called. They
The
used to be
thick one,
called.
yeah.
They used to be called Fat Boys, but I don't think they're
The
called that
XL.
anymore. But they're like the
Yeah.
big thick ones.
Okay, yeah, because there's a local grocery store. I don't know if you guys have it in your area called Meyer. They
Piggly
have
Wiggly.
No, okay. Well, Meyer
They don't have
has
Piggly Wigglies.
I've been to Piggly Wiggly. It's a good name. But they have crazy different ice cream sandwich flavors, so I can imagine you could go
Hey,
nuts
I
with
was said
making
on
your
that-
cake.
Episode. If you can't find ice cream sandwiches, I've used Klondike bar before too.
Ooh, that's another good one.
I don't know, man. That's
Or you could-
that's a little savage. Like
Nah.
trying to break into that hard chocolate shell. I mean, I don't know.
Eli,
Perfect.
you could do the ice cream sandwich cake where you could do Klondike bars in between ice cream
Are we
sandwiches.
really doing this whole thing
Oh.
again? John, you were on the episode. I'm sorry, buddy, but you don't get
Oh,
to do
you're
it
on. You're
now.
on the club. You're on the club, John.
Hey, Dave, what was
Yeah.
your favorite episode of Campfire Tale?
You're dead to us.
Well, I was going to ask
Fair.
Jeff first, give him first dibs to pick one.
I had to be Ragamume. I just
Corn demons.
that I think out of all the cryptids we talked about, she is by far the most ridiculous premise I've ever heard of in my life. I mean, just long boobs and metal nipples, and just the whole. I'm in for all
She's
of it.
the whole
So,
package.
just she got everything. Yeah,
And she was on a corn demon episode.
yeah.
Like, I don't even
it was
understand.
So
Yeah, I
for
think
me,
that one- I
it's
think that got me.
it's a close one, but I'm going to go with the first Campfire Tales of 2023 Alien games.
Oh, it was good.
And the reason is because it was so freaking funny that Eli had no idea what he had done when he had chose the aliens for that game. And I've got a couple of friends that it's like an inside joke between us. And she'll come up to me. She goes, picture this, a long cylindrical body,
Oh, I do remember
flesh
this.
hood, it's skin folds. What am I describing? And I'll just start laughing. And that whole episode, I mean, it was like you couldn't get away from your own notes.
Mhm.
And as you were reading them, you got more and more angry as I laughed uncontrollably at what you were saying.
That was a good one.
'Cause
Well,
it was like you had scripted it that way and you hadn't, and it was
Mhm.
making you so mad.
It was because I spent the whole time trying to figure out how to turn
E.T.
into brown turd Latin, and then I did. Like I didn't pay attention to the fact that I picked the most genitalia shaped aliens.
Oh, I do remember that one now too. Oh man, that was
but
bad.
it did make for a good time. And the close second, to that is your you, bless your heart, your attempt to try and do the cannibal story while I told dad jokes the whole time.
Oh my God. It's the worst.
That was
That's a good one.
The one,
Worst.
was that the one we were promised the best cannibal and we got like the lamest guy that ever existed, right?
So Dave got bored and he did some things.
The worst.
Yeah, I think I was on that one too.
Yep, you were.
Hmm?
Yep. Hey, Eli, what does a cannibal eat when he's got bad breath?
Oh my God, you're just the worst.
Mentos.
Oh my God, you're the worst. The absolute worst.
Oh, that's a good one. I actually,
I don't think you-
I gotta
you know what,
remember
Dave?
that one from my dad.
I'm not even sure you liked that episode. You just wanted to make that joke. That's what I think.
That's right. That's right. Just had to circle back. So, on a more serious note, obviously, sometimes, and 2023 was certainly part of that. Sometimes we get emotionally involved in our position on some of the shows, and sometimes it hurts when people kind of counter our positions or poo-poo on something that's kind of sacred to us or something that we value. So for each of you, and I'll start with Jaime this time, what was the hardest episode for you, like personally?
Personally, this year, I don't think we've covered much that offended me. I mean, it hurts that Eli doesn't like Piranha because that's like one of the greatest movies to ever exist. And I definitely changed, like I said, my perspective on Eli and John and Jeff when they bashed Cocaine Bear. But no, we didn't cover Evil Dead 2013 where everybody could shit on it, or Terrifier where everybody. So my feelings were not hurt by, and my feelings also don't get hurt by opinions really, but like we didn't cover any of the ones I don't think that broke me besides Eli's opinion on Piranha and their opinion on Cocaine Bear.
A movie he didn't even watch.
Movie he didn't even watch to say he didn't like, but
That's what the Eli do. Okay.
No, I don't know. I don't think I have one that like
that hurt.
like upset me. Yeah, really.
But you, Eli.
I'm trying to think, but
I don't know if upset the right word. I was surprised people didn't like House of a Thousand Corpses as much. That was surprising. I didn't think I was going to be swinging alone on that one either. But this was the year of Eli swinging alone. I felt like
I was right there with you.
saying nothing, John.
you say like two sentences to back him
nothing.
I don't need to
Thank
back
you,
him up.
Jamie.
He speaks the
Thank
whole
you,
time
Jamie.
himself. I don't need to have to be Eli's
Maybe
right.
like, hey, you know
want me
what?
to be your
Eli,
hype man?
Yeah, a little bit, John. A little bit.
Get him, Eli.
I was out there against the ropes like Rocky, but I was fighting 4 of those Russian fellas, not just 4 of them. And where was my
You need
where was
Mick.
my Mickey or Mick?
You need Mick in the corner.
I didn't have a Mick in the corner, John. My Mick was sitting there watching me flounder. Let's mess up words.
Sitting here filing my nails, waiting for the chaos to end.
Is this like reverse backup double Inception? Because Jamie is bitching about a movie that she didn't back Eli up on, about John not backing Eli up on the movie that he was backing Eli up on.
That's correct.
Yeah, this also happened in Texas Chainsaw Massacre, where I was being vocal. And
this is my last show, everybody.
But I think, Eli, if it helps, just know that I felt your absence of John on the Mandy episode as well.
Yeah, no, I mean, Mandy was like the least conflict. I was expecting way more. I was just like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
No, we hated it. We just weren't.
Oh, there was plenty of conflict.
Yeah, there was plenty of conflict. It's just Eli and I hate that movie. Yeah, we hate that. I loathe that fucking movie. Like, no,
like, you're not mad at it. You're just disappointed.
I mean, I wasn't saying Dave was right. I had my own opinion. And I think our opinions were aligned.
See what I mean? Wow. It's like you're in the corner fighting like 4 bears, and like that guy's just like, oh well.
And then Mig takes his knife and just stabs you in the back.
Yeah,
I didn't stab you in the back. What are you talking about?
No, that's not how we remember it.
No, the most painful episode for me, not for any part of the movie or any part of our conversation, was Cocaine Bear. Was the trek I had to make to get out of Michigan to go see Cocaine Bear, because we had an ice storm where there was like no joke, almost like an inch of ice on the roads.
Oh wow.
So I mean that was the most painful episode to kind of get to and arrive to.
You did that
But
for us?
But
I know,
you hung
just
out with us.
Yeah, no, it was great. But I'm just saying it was painful to get to you guys. It was not an easy trip, but we still did.
You know what the painful part was? Probably him sitting there for 8 hours, realizing how much he's wronged us and the amends he needs to make.
I mean, honestly, Cocaine Bear was pretty brutal.
My God, it's like an hour and a half and it's so non-offensive. My God, you would think Cocaine Bear is fucking, I don't know, one that we really, Blair Witch, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, it's played up for effect a little bit, but the movie's
that
not
movie
good.
was made by somebody who read a book about what they thought the 80s was like.
Yes, Jeff
I
nailed it
lived through
right
the
there.
80s, and everything in
Elizabeth
that
Banks
movie
lived
was
through the 80s
fake.
too. She's the
Well,
same
he
age,
didn't-
isn't she?
I think that they must not have been paying attention because. Anyhow, I don't want to reopen old wounds here.
What about you,
Jeff is not wrong.
You know what? You'll find that there's really nothing that I get offended or upset about too
Nothing
much,
that
to be
hurts you.
honest with you. Like, no, I'm just.
Yes, there is. When someone said Santa wasn't magical, Eli and I
yeah.
hate on Santa.
Well, I mean,
You know
that,
what
I think that crosses a line for anybody. Anybody. Don't. I mean, I don't want to.
See,
thanks, Steve. Now I'm gonna have problems sleeping because I'm gonna be thinking about you and this mother down here of Santa Claus. Ridiculous.
Who said so? Let me get this straight. So Eli says Santa, no magic.
We hate Santa. We hate Christmas.
Santa,
so
yeah, we hate
apparently,
Christmas.
like, it's I think it was the Krampus episode.
It
I don't know.
was.
But Jeff lost it. He got offended by how much we did not believe in Santa.
I think it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean,
He
I
then
can see
he
that
said he
perspective.
wanted Krampus to beat me with the sticks
Yes.
because of it.
oh well, sometimes you got it coming.
So is
Wow.
that your stuff? It sounds like it's sounds
I
like
need to be on this show more often. John backs me up all the time. I don't know what you guys are doing wrong.
That's because y'all have that shared experience of life
Yeah.
That's
from a
true.
young age.
Yeah.
We started out early.
It's like the movie Stand By Me, but at a sleepover and watching Friday the 13th.
Yeah, and
So nothing.
We didn't
No
find
dead
any
bodies.
dead bodies.
Yeah, no dead bodies.
Stand by me, except nothing like it.
Well, except for the friendship when John left and forgot
Yeah.
all about Jeff for years.
Yeah, the divergence
Oh.
occurred.
So
Did
for
he
me,
forget?
oh, go ahead.
No, I'm just making random comments, guys.
Well, for me, it is the Cocaine Bear episode, and it wasn't that it hurt. I guess I was frustrated because I had personal expectation. I mean, we had put together this event, and I didn't know anything about John's trek to get there being as heinous as it was. But I felt like we had a good time. The weather wasn't great, but it's February, so it's kind of hit
Yeah.
or miss anyway. It's that time of year. But I got to share kind of my neighborhoods, my area with my good friends who had never been there before, and go do some things that I enjoy doing, and we did all that, and that was all a lot of fun. And then it was all tied around this movie that was just the dumbest concept ever. I mean, it's Cocaine Bear. It should be the silliest, low stakes beer and goofy laugh movie, and then there were reactions to it that were so serious, and so like the stakes were way up here that this movie had to reach, and I'm like, I hate that that's the conversation we're going to have, and that's my problem, because that was my expectation, that it was a goofy Tremors level movie that we could get together and kind of riff on, and then it became this. Well, this is not, and to use a term from the Prana episode that Eli will appreciate. Well, this is not like Casablanca. This is not at the level of film cinematography, the art that it should be. I'm like, it's fucking Cocaine Bear. What are you talking about? So I guess I was recording that episode was hard because there was a lot of fun that we could have had talking about the event and the weekend and the things that we did, and we ended up poo-pooing a movie that really didn't matter at the end of the day. And so anyway,
Just remember, you sat on the right side of the theater, though. At least you weren't in my seat, which was dead
I
fucking
had
center.
a good time.
I
Jamie
kept
had a good
leaning towards Dave because that side was way more. way more fun.
Yeah, I'm not going to relitigate it. I there's a section of that movie that's what I wanted more of, and it was not.
Sure,
that's it.
Sure, and like I said, that I was just surprised, and it was because I had set certain mental plans in place before.
Trust me, I wanted to be with you. That was a movie I wanted to love. Yeah,
it just wasn't it. I understand.
No,
and that happens.
It betrayed me.
And for those that go back and listen to it, I think you'll hear that. I mean, we came out as friends. It's not like anything was like
no one quit
damaged. It was just, it became to me why are you so angry? That was the thing I was trying to discover through
I think that anger came from, we wanted to see the movie you saw.
I saw the movie Dave saw, so
I know, and I wanted to see that movie too, the one that you both saw, and I did not. And Eli and Jeff apparently did not either.
I can think of like on one hand the amount of times I was just like, I don't want to watch this anymore. I just quit watching something, and that was one of the movies. Antlers was another one. I probably wouldn't have finished Antlers if it hadn't been for the show.
Yeah. But I think that it's an expectations game. That's what movies are, man. Because Eli had high expectations for Antlers,
which still mystifies me. That's still one of my favorite things to not think about. To get that angry about such a nothing movie.
Well, it's like they took a cool legend and just pooped on it. Like, I think that's what really makes that's what's really upsetting about it, right?
Well, what Antlers
legend
gave us though is week after week of Dave's brilliant trolling, and the fact that Eli did not see it coming made it.
I knew. No, I knew every week it was coming.
Not every week.
Every week
for the first 3 weeks.
The first couple weeks I'll give you, but then after that I was like, oh, when you start got some trivia for you, and I'm like, you motherfucker.
So since we're all on here and we're starting to wrap up, are there any questions that any of y'all had that you all wanted to just kind of talk through? Anything in the last year that you wanted to?
Yeah, first off, how dare you come at me about being angry about Cocaine Bear? Secondly, who do you think you are?
I'm Dave.
Yep. No, fair enough. Fair enough.
And honestly, I'm not coming at anybody about it. I was just surprised. And I guess Piranha is a good example of the same thing. How does somebody have such a strong opinion?
Passionate, yeah.
But that's our Eli.
I am passionate about everything.
So am I. And, I guess I get it because I'm passionate about my love for that movie, which is also unwarranted. I mean, it's fucking Piranha 3D. I will fucking fight you to the death for Piranha 3D. And it's not even in my top horror movies of all time, but it's just, I will.
Yeah, well, and like Terrifier. I mean, some like me who that's a nothing movie, but for you, that's important.
I will destroy you over that movie. Dave, I love you. You're dead to me.
but I'll have nothing to do with you ever again. I understand.
I love Terrifier. Terrifier 2 is a little bit, but I remember
it grows on you the more you watch it.
Okay.
Fungus.
Listen, and one for me is Critters. I will be unapologetic.
I love Critters.
I've never seen Critters. Never watched it.
Oh my god! What were you doing in the 80s besides like crying in front of
haunted houses? I couldn't watch it. It was
being confused about Beetlejuice.
He was watching in front of haunted houses, a movie.
I was watching Scooby Doo and Legend of
that
Sleepy
first
Hollow.
Critters. It's so absurd, and the fact that they got the dollar store Tim Curry to play the one alien, because that guy looks like if you went to Aldi's and bought Tim Curry there. It's absurdity. And
you're going to get so much hate mail because you equated Aldi to a dollar store.
Whatever. Listen, hey, 9% of people are going to disagree with me. 9% of people are wrong.
I went to my first Aldi. I'm kind of with Eli on this.
Thank you.
I've only been in there once. I'm not a fan.
I went to oh God.
Trucy dance.
Yep.
There's a Trucy dance, man.
Our Trucy's is a little like air quotes though, so it's hard to. You gotta do this dance. Way.
Yeah, those Trucy's look more like colonoscopy fingers, more than so, which is on brand for Eli.
Wow, how dare you? I haven't talked about poop in like 4 episodes.
Wrong.
When's the last time I talked about poop?
Today.
Well, I mean, not counting today.
Not counting today.
Not counting today. If we look back, right? Bandage Man, I didn't talk about poop.
Sure did.
Did I?
you were talking about toilet paper and wrapping people up.
I was.
Almost immediately.
Yeah.
Okay,
I'm pretty sure we could find not in 1 week have you.
Wait, hold on. The Furies. I didn't talk about poop.
We don't. You probably did.
You probably
You
did.
always do, to be
I
fair.
might.
It's just become part of the normal conversation.
Yeah, that's why you don't remember it.
It's white noise to Eli at this point.
Yeah, it's just so a part of your being.
I have a blind spot in my brain. Listen, I will say this. Mary's mom always goes, you just talk about poop an awful lot on that show. And I'm like, I don't think I talk about that much.
At least you didn't call it shit.
I'm going to go back to Dave's question and just say, like, I don't have a question for everybody, but I just want to say, as ridiculous as I act and the things that I say on this show, I am grateful for all four of you. And I love doing this. And I hope we continue to do this. And it's shocking to me that we've just completed it. Like, we're about to complete, sorry, it goes into the new year, but we're about to complete a whole second year of this, like a full year. And I'm proud of us. I hope like Dave said, we're not doing it for like listeners and stuff, but I do hope that people join in with us. I think it's fun. And I would like, to grow our little weirdo community because we definitely have some odd points of view, but I don't know. I like what we do. I also would hope like ending this year, going into the new year, and especially since Eli and Jeff, I would like to do another group thing, whether it's to see a movie or we go to a convention or we do something and that like all of us can.
I just think this is the year.
What'd you find? Yeah.
Finally somebody is going to be like, hey, I'm a security guard of Skinwalker Ranch, or
so it's gonna let us come in.
I own the Amity House, or like just something with that, and they're like,
here's us and goes, this is the crew. This is
you'd like to come in.
These five people.
These are them.
I'm feeling it. This is the year. I don't, you know what? Like you said, I don't expect there to be famous from this or make any money from this or anything, but I will have made it as soon as someone goes, hey, I'm the janitor at the Warrens Museum.
Warrens Museum.
Would you guys like to?
How would you like
Skinwalker
to
Ranch.
review a certain doll?
I'm like, oh my God, Jamie is going to have something new for her collection.
I told you, I got that fucking new bookcase with all the
I would
shit.
not want
you could put Raggedy Ann right in the fucking
I
middle.
don't want to do that
care.
to you because I don't want you to die years later, okay?
Yeah. In my 80, 90.
Don't want it to happen to
We
you.
all gotta go, man.
Eli's like, fuck, the doll did
Not
it.
by
Finally
Annabelle,
got her.
okay? Not by
wanna-
Annabelle.
I just want to tell y'all, I was sorely disappointed that I didn't get congratulated for sitting on that episode of Campfire Tales the whole time while Eli talked about a doll that bled.
Oh, God, I did listen to that one.
Called the Raggedy Ann, and I didn't reference it once.
That's true.
And y'all did not give me credit for that.
Hey, you know what? I think it's because if we look at various other episodes this year where you rode me like a government mule, I think the scales are still not in your favor, sir.
Honestly, I think we need to distribute and make sure we get the record correct. I think Jeff set me up, and I just responded in a lot of those situations.
That's true.
There may have been 2 sharks in the water that sniffed blood into several of your campfires.
Hey, but you know what? I just keep
the
walking
bunny,
that water.
Was the Bunny Man this year? Or was that last year?
No, I think that was
Bunny
last
Man was last
year.
year.
I mean, the only thing I can say is I think it's a testament to, I mean, especially how good some of the episodes were, that you can't really distinguish how long ago, you know what I mean, you did them. Like, they're still so fresh, even a year and a half later on some of these episodes that we've kind of done. So,
yeah.
Yeah, I was still Candy Lady. I'll still remember the fact that we all got in an argument about candy currency amongst the hobo train population in Texas.
That was a heated debate. I mean, that was
yeah. And I'm sorry, Eli, 0 bars are still garbage.
No, they are not.
They're
0 bars are good.
They're trash.
0 value, even in the hobo currency.
Yeah.
I just got one.
They're called zero
so delicious.
for a reason.
Exactly. They're literally called 0 bars
because they disappoint you 0 ways.
Oh, boy.
Oh, wow. That's a stretch.
Nice
It's like
try.
chocolate covered almond paste or something. It's like,
Delicious.
So
Maybe, you know, Jamie, maybe we could all go to Hollow Weekends at Cedar Point.
ooh, I'd love us to do a horror hound or something.
Well,
like
we're
that,
going
just
to Halloween
Yeah.
Horror Nights, whoever's coming in October or late September. So yes,
yeah.
I would love to do a horror convention, Dave. Like, or a
That would be
weekend at
fun.
one of these. Like, there's so many of them. Like the Philly one is in I say Philly, it's in New Jersey, but it's right outside Philly. So like, but like that Cherry Hill is in March.
Mm.
That's what's it called? Like that's oh my God, my brain. Monster Mania, which I've been going to since I was a child. And but that one's in March, but that's just very soon. I'm just throwing that out. That's why I know that one, because that's the next one coming up in my general area.
I have never been to a horror con.
Neither have I.
My entire
I've been to two.
I've been to
And
lots.
the one there's a person who was in a well-known zombie film who asked me if I had a cigarette outside, and when I said no, said such profanities to me. That was the last one I went to.
That's interesting.
And that's why Eli always has cigarettes with him now.
I just can't remember. Well, I think he I was just like, oh no, sorry, and like then he they said something. I'm like, oh wow, okay, you got that must really need a cigarette.
My mom's been taking my sister and I since we were little because she's
That's
a good
awesome.
mom. And then like,
Does she bring cigarettes with her?
well, my mom doesn't smoke.
Neither did I,
Monster
but
Mania,
apparently I need
and then
to
there
bring
used
one.
to be Chiller, if that's still around, as a convention, not the channel. And then I even flew out to Texas Frightmare Weekend, which is a big one in Dallas. But
You know what one of my goals this year
what?
is to sit down at one point this year, have a conversation with your mother to ask her why she was
my
bowling in the
oh.
basement of Cropsy's
She,
institution,
I can arrange.
even though the whole neighborhood smelled like pee.
The whole neighbor. Never mind. Okay, we're
You
not.
said the whole neighborhood smelled like pee.
Mm-hmm.
You
We'll
did
sit
say
down.
that.
We'll record this.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna wrangle it in because
Yeah, we need
Oh,
to. Yeah,
we
we're
did.
also been talking for
We
like
did.
2 hours, I think.
yeah,
so.
we need to finish up. But there are a couple of things that I wanted to talk about that, and we'll ask for audience feedback too. But what among the crew here, what is the next thing that you feel like we need to prioritize designing for our shop so I can get on it? What is the next
Image wise.
design? Yeah, as far as a
Oh.
graphic or some meme within the show that's unique to
Oh.
what we do here on the show that you think I need to.
I think it's time for Campfire Tale to get on our shirt. We got one.
like as a general logo or
No, like I think it has to be something like either Sheila, the Sheila shirt,
Oh,
or the
She-
Sheila like riding
could-
donkey lady.
I don't know where I could
Like-
wear that shirt, but I would want a Sheila shirt.
Anywhere to church.
Or we could do like the fair, like how we said the state fair fighting, but have a ring with like Sheila fighting another. Like,
Yeah,
no.
These are very complex for a design. I feel like
then just put donkey lady on a shirt. Dave. That'll be happy.
Honestly, what Dave, I can just visualize Dave taking the visual he showed of Sheila today, just taking her off, doing her in that like kind of that one just basic face, and just have Sheila across the top, and that's it. And the like, no one would ever get it. Everybody like, why is this guy wearing a shirt that said just Sheila on it?
That's wrong. I got it.
It's wrong.
Owlman kicking Sheila up
No.
out of a Golden Corral parking lot.
No,
But obviously, don't put Golden Corral on the
that's
sign,
too
but
much
we all
going
know what
on
it
on
is.
one shirt.
If I do a Sheila shirt, it'll be WWSD. What would Sheila do?
All right.
Okay,
And on the
okay.
back, it would just say, for Jamie's sake, just on the back in text, it would say, "Not today, mole person."
oh god, my favorite. Yeah, I'm
Oh,
gonna
that'd
start
be good.
crying. I'm gonna start crying again over that.
Oh,
Not
that actually would be a good shirt.
Oh, not
No.
today. I can't. Oh my god.
Oh, good.
Not today, mole person.
That was the hand turkey, and that is not.
Oh wait,
Oh.
why don't we have a hand turkey shirt?
That was fucking.
That's true.
That's still the fucking
do the-
Jotun or whatever,
do
right?
the-
That's still, I
yeah,
think, that
yeah.
episode or something. Oh
Do
my
the
god.
what would Sheila do? But then
Oh,
put
man.
a plushy hand turkey underneath of it.
God, I saved
Oh,
that
You
man.
clip.
keep throwing stuff together.
I've saved that clip and I just play it to myself sometimes
Listen,
because
I
like
got
I
my
just,
birthday
I just
moments.
fucking can't. Like the whole thing, the whole like she asked me for a hand. That whole clip it just keeps going and like Eli's trying to say something or I'm trying to say something and Jeff quotes and I just like lose it mid, like I just can't take it.
Oh man, that was a good one.
One of my favorite Sheilas is back to the Bigfoot Theories episode when just out of nowhere Jeff pulls out when we're talking about the backhoe that the Bigfoot has. And he does in his Sheila voice, which he does much better than I do, the whole, you got to be this tall to ride this ride, Mr. Bigfoot. I'm like, oh my God.
He asked me to be his queen. That's the other thing he said.
You operate a backhoe. You don't drive it, you savage. Jeff is fantastic.
He was 95 feet tall. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay, it sounds like we've got a Sheila shirt in our future.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
I have to have a plushie or like do her silhouette with a plushie hand turkey. Oh my God. Underneath the WWSD. Oh my God.
Honestly,
so
I think, Dave, you flip the text, you put the WWSD on the back on a plushie hand turkey on like kind of like the back part of the neck, and on the front it should just say "Not today, mole person" and some sort of orientation around her visage. It'll be beautiful.
It's coming together in my mind.
Not today, mole person. I can't.
So, audience,
it's so specific. It's so
so dumb.
In the best kind of way. So, just as we're wrapping up, I want to say how grateful I am for you all. And Jamie said this, and John said this, and Eli said this, and Jeff said this. But I've really enjoyed what we've done. And we're being completely selfish in that observation. We've gotten some feedback on the podcast, and people have seemed very positive, which we're so grateful for. I mean, we have a 5-star review on every podcast platform we're on. Now that may be 6 people that we know, but it doesn't matter. We still have 5-star. People have really seemed to engage and enjoy. There's a core group of people that think like us that seem to be getting something out of it. And it blows my mind when I pull up the analytics, and there's like people in Limerick, Ireland, and Poland, and the Czech Republic, and the Netherlands, and UK. And there's a couple of people in the UK that promote us on their stuff on social media. And it's just so humbling that I don't know those people from anything except for through this experience of the podcast we've had. So I'm very grateful for that. But I guess we can kind of talk about, because we haven't talked about it yet. We usually have sort of a board meeting at some point, which we'll probably do in the next few weeks. But what are the hosts? What are your hopes for the podcast in 2024? Like, what would success look like? What's your dream, your goal for
one invitation
to a paranormal
to anything? Just get me
property
in to let me see like the back area.
I can invite you to
Skinwalker
the cave.
Ranch.
I'm sure it's haunted somewhere.
I don't know what you can do to me in there. Like Skinwalker Ranch, Amityville House. I know someone's living there, but like you'll be all right.
Golden
Anything
Corral.
like that. A nice one. Take me to lunch out. Take me out to lunch after the nice Golden Corral. Just one of those like paranormal hotspots. Just like at this point, someone that listens has to like know someone who knows someone or work somewhere or something. Get me in to see some creepy shit.
Honestly, Eli, at this point, I feel that we owe it to our audience to literally find the highest rated Golden Corral, and we have to go eat there.
I've been trying to get Jamie to go to one for years.
We had just once.
There's one in Brooklyn, she said, but which is what?
No, it was like in Queens, which is way different than going to Brooklyn.
It's all the same. It's a city.
It's not all the same.
Well, go to it. No, it closed, you said.
Spoken like a true hillbilly.
It's all the
city. Just got real in here.
I did. It hurt my feelings. But I want to take Jamie to like a scary place to convince her this stuff is real, and then to go and crowd for lunch.
I love the fact that you're going to take Jamie on a ghost hunting.
That's correct.
Expedition. I can tell you how that's going to end.
Yeah,
well, maybe not even ghost. Skinwalker Ranch
at a Golden Corral. Apparently,
Bigfoot hunting. Dyer's Rock. I don't care.
Yeah, I'll go to. And listen, I am down for going to any of these things. It's like what I do. It's totally fine, and that's, I guess, like to piggyback on what I said before, and then circle back to Dave's question. Is like my hopes are we get like, a few more people to interact, like more people enjoying what we do. And that's, again, not a selfish thing because we make no money and we do not, this is not a job. This is a fun thing that we do, whatever. But B, that we somehow find a way to do one or two things together that we could incorporate into this podcast, like a live thing together, or like Eli said, visit a place and just like take some, it doesn't have to be, we are not fucking like, we're not going to sit there and record a movie for YouTube, but like clips and live videos and things we can post and share with people that, listen to us and whatever, and us together. That's those are the small hopes I have for us.
I don't think those are small. I think those are awesome. I think those are very reasonable.
That I'm trying to be.
It's not like you said, show up as an extra in the next Scream movie or something like that. Or the next Terrifier, which I know you're still angling for. You're still campaigning.
I'm so mad about the second one. Don't get me started. When I didn't pay the money to be an extra and then found out it was filming on fucking Staten Island. Don't get me started. I was just like, that's what happens when you prioritize work. I will never do it again.
Never prioritize work.
They don't give a shit about you. So why give a shit about them?
I hope nobody listens to this.
Hey, except for Jamie, she cares a lot about her employer.
I prioritize it over my favorite movie.
Yeah,
I can attest that
I
Jamie
do.
works her tail off.
Yeah. And she definitely doesn't feel like you abuse her.
Yeah, I mean, definitely growth, more interaction, that kind of stuff. I mean, realistically, just having the episodes to look back on, they're not all bangers. They're not all fantastic. Well, everyone I'm on's great, but just having that kind of archived and memories and conversations and that kind of stuff. I mean, like you said before, Dave, you're right. Like, there's a lot of like, I interact with a lot of people, but there's not a lot of people where I'm like, oh, I can sit down and have the type of conversations potentially that can be had on on these shows.
This level of nonsense.
Right, yeah.
John, what about you?
I mean, I will second Jamie's. That's all the great things right there. But the it's I don't know. Quite honestly, my bar is as long as we're still doing this after another year, it's a success. I mean, right. It doesn't need to grow. It doesn't need to do anything. That as long as everybody's still showing up as much as we can, because obviously, like Eli said, to miss a few shows. I think I've been fortunate. I haven't had to miss any of the shows that I'm scheduled for. But there's been a couple times where it could have happened, and I can't remember if any other one of us missed. I know Campfire Tales is like, that's a hard one for me to make the plan for two, but no, I think this is a cool, fun thing that we get to do. And it's, as long as we keep doing it, it's great. But a horror convention would be awesome. Depending on my employer this year and what the future compensation looks like. We'll see how doable that is. But that's the only part is it's like sometimes making those trips. It's been it's come at good times, and I'm just hoping we can do the same thing for timing wise. And driving distance is always great. When Jamie said in March I'm like, I could drive to New Jersey. That wouldn't be too hard.
I mean,
guess who has a car now?
I mean,
he's got
that's
a
true.
Frankie ride. Yeah.
Does that mean you're going to go pick him up?
No, I just meant if we go somewhere.
Yeah, she can drive, so I don't have to.
I'm going to Michigan to pick him up and then come in.
Yeah, come on. Oh, yeah. I mean, I'll be waiting in my yard tomorrow. Just be like, what's going on? I'll just wait for my friend to pick me up.
She'll be here any month.
And the neighbors will be like, listen, the neighbors will talk to kids. Listen, honey, don't talk to him. He gets confused by Beetlejuice. Just come on, let's go.
It's true. It's a true story.
Well, and the beauty of getting together in person is we get to have these inside, like within the group inside moments, like the fact that Jamie has no idea that you and I almost burnt down the Airbnb even before she showed up.
Oh yeah, that was right. Yeah, you missed that. That was fun. Accidentally turned on the electric stovetop, and you just couldn't tell that it was on.
It was just on.
It was just on,
and the plastic tote was on.
Oh man, it was bad. That's the reason why we couldn't tell. Is because it had the tote on it, and I think It could have been me. It could have been Dave. We bumped into the knob and it turned and it just turned on. It's like,
and John so nonchalantly said, I think that's on fire. I looked down and the whole bottom of the tote is a puddle like across the stovetop. So they're scraping it up with.
But we cleaned it up.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure she didn't charge us or anything.
No, she had no clue.
Well, she does now.
She does now. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure she listens to our podcast. The Airbnb lady
she messaged me, so she didn't appreciate what you said about inoculating.
Her friend Sheila will definitely let her know to subscribe.
Fair. So yeah, I mean, I guess my big hope is that we all continue to have a good time and that our friendships deepen and our ability to talk about movies together. And honestly, selfishly, I do want to get better at articulating my position and having a critical eye when I watch movies. Because, and Eli said this earlier, and I'm the same way. I'm very much somebody who enjoys story, and story is important to me. And I want to celebrate when it's done well in the film media. But I want to get better at that, not ever expecting that I'll be a film critic, but just for personal growth. That's an area of a hobby that I'm willing to invest in to get better at communicating kind of what my position is and doing it with you all in a safe space. I think it'd be a lot of fun. But yes, absolutely. I would love to have more people to interact with that can give us feedback and I don't mean this to sound hateful or anything. Not that we're going to jump on every little piece of feedback that we get and make a change to the podcast. If it's something that doesn't align with what we're trying to do, I want to have that conversation with them. We're not going to change just because you don't like that we say poo-poo too much or something like that. I mean, if that's just who we are, that's who we are. But I do want to have conversations because I'm sure there's a lot of great ideas out there that we haven't considered. And obviously we're on, and we say at the end of each podcast where we are. We're on Twitter at Wicked Wild We Are. We're on Instagram at Wicked Wild Pod. There is the slasher one, but I'm probably going to fold that one. I'm just going to quit pushing stuff out to it. We'll see. I don't know if X, Twitter, whatever it's going to be, I don't know if it'll be around much longer. We may end up being on just Instagram. And if that folds, I'm not too concerned with our social media platform or our position there. But if you can't get in touch with us there, I always say we've got our email, which is podcast, podcast @thewickedwild.com. So you can always reach me there, and I always share all that stuff with the co-hosts when we get stuff that's interesting. And we've had in the past, and maybe this is something I'll set as a personal goal because I've been intimidated up to this point, but we've had, I think in 23, we had like 4 different independent filmmakers reach out to me through DMs on different social media platforms and say, look, I'd love to come on sometime and promote this project, this sort of passion project, or this horror movie project that I'm working on that's really important to me. I would love to be able to do that. And we've talked about some of them. Excuse me. But at the end of the day, I want to respect that somebody else is putting themselves out there and really put their blood, sweat, and tears behind something that really means a lot to them. I want to give them the opportunity, a platform to do that. But at the same time, I have to protect our little community too. If it's something that doesn't align with who we are, then I don't want to just be used or for all that kind of stuff. So maybe I'll do more diligence on sussing those out and see if there is a good fit. And then maybe we
send them to the Campfire Tales. We'll get them.
Yeah.
Anything goes on there.
That's exactly where they want to end up. Yeah.
Hey,
you never know.
Campfire Tales where the dreams come true. You know what I mean?
Yeah. If the dreams are poo covered. Yeah.
Well,
accurate.
Or donkey faced.
Hey, find something in this world not covered in shit and donkey hair.
And you're a happy man?
I'm a happy man.
So I do want to thank, I guess the end of all of that is that I do want to thank all of our audience. I am still completely mystified that this content matters at all to anyone outside of the 5 people that I've talked to tonight, because it really is just us having honest conversations about things that matter to us, and that's what we're going to continue to do. But I am super grateful and humbled by everybody who's reached out to me, who I've never met, I don't have a relationship already, who have told me how much they've enjoyed the episodes and the feedback that we get through the reviews and comments on the platforms. I think my favorite one is the guy, I assume from the profile, it sounded like it was a guy. It may not be, so apologies if it wasn't, but the person who gave us a 5-star review and then referenced the Return of the Living Dead episode that we sounded like we were all on cocaine because of the way the sound edit was. Which, hey, good note. As the sound editor, I'll work on the cocaine sound of our here we are. But before I end, is there any other news? Eli, do you want to give a hint to what the final Campfire Tales, which will be out the day before Christmas, that we'll be talking about?
Yeah, we're starting something new. Year or two here. Figured each year we should award that key figure, that the shining moment, the Campfire Tale. I'm calling them the campies. We're gonna battle out the campies and see what was the greatest legend, lore, cryptid, or story told on the Campfire Tales. So I'm narrowing down now a list of what I'm considering the top tenders, and then you'll listen to these fine folks argue and debate, come up with one winner, because there can only be one.
Oh,
well,
man.
Eli, as I'm making my notes here, just so I make sure that I write it down properly, could you just really quick describe to me what the Phantom actually looks like?
The campy.
The campy?
No.
The yeah.
Listen, long, slender, bulbous head,
cylindrical body,
skin flaps, and a plushy hand turkey.
I think there's your answer then.
So crazy that was all delivered. Eli, that was you engineered. It sounded like you literally were just describing dicks the whole time.
Maybe I did it on purpose. Maybe I did it. You'll never know, John. You'll never know because you don't got my back. And until you do, I won't let you know.
Hey, well, maybe that's what success looks like. Is maybe I don't have Eli's back next year and I take him head on.
Oh, good fucking luck. Because you gotta get up pretty early in the morning and go against the Mole King.
Do you though?
How dare you? How dare you?
It depends on whether he watches the right movie or not.
You son of a bitch.
So as we close out our 2023 review, I do want to give each of you the opportunity, and I'll start with Jeff this time. And I always enjoy him being on the main show with us and sharing his perspective. I've enjoyed getting to know Jeff over the last couple of years. I think he's a great guy. Despite what Eli has told us when he's not around, I think he's a really nice fella. But Jeff, is there anything that you want to say to our audience? Any wishes or recommendations or advice you would want to give to anybody who's listening?
No, just thanks for listening. The only advice I'd probably give is if you're coming here for facts, don't do it.
You've already failed.
You already failed at podcast finding and life. So
fair enough. John, what about you?
I would love to hear from anybody that can remembers the black gold reference. If you can remember that oldie.
That's a deep cut.
That is a deep cut. But no, just thanks everybody that listens, everybody that messages, anybody does anything. Everybody, it's great to hear people are helping promote the show, Dave. I hadn't heard that. So that's awesome. So keep it up.
Yeah. Jamie?
I want to, thank everybody for putting up with us on a weekly basis. If you do, and you're still here, because it's a lot. It's a lot. I mean, I love us, but it's a fucking lot. So,
we're not everybody's
we're
flavor.
We're not for everyone. So,
Eli?
In true Eli fashion, I'm going to give a compliment and I'm going to take it away. Hey, thanks for listening. But the fact that none of you have asked to join the Mole Kingdom yet, disappointed. Not mad. I'm just disappointed.
Not mad or surprised. But
how dare everybody? They're just afraid to. You don't need to be afraid. Just reach out. Email Dave's box. He'll get to me. Listen, I got plenty of room.
Right.
Just have to pass a couple tests. That's all.
I was going to say, I'm surprised you don't have a form out to fill.
It's a very selective group. I'm just not going to willy nilly put a form out.
But yet you are begging people to apply.
No, I'm saying they should. That's all.
Fair enough. And I'll just say, just to echo what everybody else has said, first and foremost, thank you so much for listening. But, if you're ever in a situation, if you feel like you're alone, if you feel like people don't understand you, if you feel frustrated with society or politics or the way the world is, and you just feel like nobody relates to you, but you hear something in our episodes or hear a perspective of some of the people in here that in some way encourages you or supports you or alleviates some of that pain or frustration, then I am tremendously grateful for that. So I hope in some way that we've blessed your life. And if we have, we hope that you'll continue to listen to us next year. And because we're just going to keep doing the craziness that we do. Have an excellent holiday week, and we'll see you in 2024.
Bye.